Sure. Um, I think we've seen this already. We don't have to do a lot of guesswork. This is playing out a lot like Desert Storm did. So not the second Iraq incursion, but the first one. And I think that
Yeah.
is serves as a pretty good example for what we can expect. Israel and the United States maintain air superiority. Iran is, holding on to the strait for all it's worth in order to apply pressure to the rest of the world. And most of their naval capabilities have been eliminated. So um, I think that once the U.S., it's almost certain the U.S. will be able to sustain its resistance against whatever missile strikes the Iranians have left. I find that to be an almost certain outcome, unless Iran has some hidden technology or ammunition that they haven't let the world know about. Um, and once that occurs, they'll have a disabled, crippled navy, an inability to strike their neighbors with missiles, and air superiority. Obviously, that's a given. That's the one thing the United States doesn't have to worry about. We'll maintain an air superiority against any other opponent on the planet.
You
And so
think
you
there'll be
just
boots on the ground? Sorry to
well,
interrupt. Do you think they'll?
I think given what I just said, Iran will be boxed in, and boots on the ground will not be necessary. But I will say Trump is a bit of a wild card when it comes to that. That's what makes him different than, say, George Bush Senior or George Bush Junior. Um,
You're right about
he,
that. They were predictable.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I go with.
he may use boots on the ground. He may contract an army to do it. That's not even our own, or he may browbeat our allies into doing it. He could even use the Kurds
And
and
it could
and the
be
CIA if he
like you
wanted.
said, you said, it
Uh,
could be the Gulf War thing, and like it could be, this is the first one, and maybe in another 20 years there'll be a bigger battle, and they'll topple around, kind of
that's what
similar
I
to Iraq.
that's what I would see happening.
There's a
Is
few
this
people in the comments saying you're talking absolute claptrap. It's don't be so confident. Trump is up against the wall. He's
nah
literally, in some ways, fighting for his survival, and he's in dire straits. Yeah,
nah? That's what people want. It would make them feel better.
Right. I
It's not
think boots on the
realistic.
ground is their logical next step that they're going to try. They're going to try it, I think. Because there are reports a couple days ago, like I saw something um, that they are going, like some troops are being told get ready to deploy. Right, you know that moment before the Iraq War, the soldiers were told like, "Hey, you're mobilizing." There's people getting the call, so that's already
Yeah,
telling, right?
yeah. That you would
Um,
expect that no matter what.
right, exactly. Like they've already done paratrooping, most likely tier one type. There's not a lot of information on that for good reason, obviously. Uh, their main attack is to get the Kurds and the Christians, the minorities in the Iranian country, to turn against. We've all played Far Cry, right? Have you ever played Far Cry? So basically, you're
Yeah,
fomenting a resistance. Like you start by helping one town, they help you, and then it foments and expands and continues, right? So when it comes to that, they want a base of operations, an FOB within Iran. So that's why they need an internal type resistance and the whole regime change situation. They want Iran to change, but it's not going to happen easily.
no, it would require a costly ground invasion, and then there's no guarantee. Even with that, we saw what happened in Iraq. It did. It did not turn out the way it was sold on TV. Um, and again, this is why the military analysts and powers that be are not going to want a costly ground invasion. But like I said, Trump is the trump card, pun intended. that he's very unpredictable. He may send troops in just because he feels like it.
Can I plea for the presence of Cougar Duma here? He was about to give us an analysis last time he was on, then he left. Cougar Duma, do come on, brother, and give us that analysis, please. Jay says Trump is controlled opposition.
Yeah,
I mean that means the Iranians. The thing about that statement is that would mean the Iranians are controlling him, and that's insane, Jay. Because you do know what controlled opposition means. It means the person they are opposed to is actually controlling them. Am I not right, guys?
Right. That would mean that Iran is the world power in this scenario.
That's an insane suggestion, Jay. I don't think you really mean that. He may be in some way compromised, if that's what you're suggesting. He's compromised, and maybe Israel has him by the ghoulies. But that's not the same as being controlled opposition, because he's not opposed to Israel. Never has been. America has always been an ally of Israel since its foundation.
Israel is American military outpost. It's, with the British Empire and the American Empire, put Israel smack dab in the middle there to create a military outpost in the Middle East. It's the whole point.
I'm misunderstanding him. Well, I can only go by what you wrote on the screen, and it didn't seem to make sense to any of us. So if you want to clarify, Matt, brother, do come on and tell us what you mean. We have Cougar Duma here. Cougar Duma, you're on the Fighting Gnosis show. Just give your analysis on what is happening, what might happen, given this ongoing debacle, terrible situation in Iran.
Well, the U.S. conservatives have been trying to foment something to go down in the Middle East and Persia in particular for, either 30 years or 300 years, depending on how you want to date the timeline, I guess. But Trump is a perfect foil for this operation because he's got the attention span of a goldfish. So whoever talks to him last, and this is a typical critique of him, whoever was the last person to talk to him, that's U.S. policy, including Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin can talk to Donald Trump, and that becomes U.S. policy, maybe for 3 hours or 3 days, but that's how it actually works.
You're not wrong. He's very reactive.
What?
You're not wrong. He's very, very reactive. Like if the last person he spoke to was Kushner, Kushner's idea is his idea now. It's like,
yeah, and it's even simpler than that. He has direct phone calls with all kinds of world leaders, including Bibi Netanyahu. And I don't know anything about these people, but I saw an editorial comic cartoon the other day, a couple of weeks ago, that says that Bibi Netanyahu is the worst president the U.S. has ever had. And it made me laugh because there's a lot of people who have evidence that that's really what's happening. Even what's his name? That stupid Secretary of State. Yeah, Rubio said it. He said it. He said the reason why the U.S. attacked Iran this time, he said this, you can look it up, was because Bibi Netanyahu phoned Donald Trump and said, well, we're going in hot. And if we didn't go in hot first, ahead of them, then we would be in trouble because they would just bomb us and our people wouldn't be ready. So we had to go on a war footing because the Israelis were going in hot. And that's like, okay, so that's foreign policy. That's our foreign policy. Our foreign policy was determined by somebody in Israel going in hot. And what do you want to call that? That's just how it is. That's what they're telling us on what happened. So that's what happened. And, I don't think there's any way that this solves any world problems. I don't think that they intend to solve world problems. A lot of the people in the Pentagon, including Pete Hegseth, are crusaders. Pete Hegseth has Deus Vult tattooed on his forearm.
I would not give them that notion. They're not respectable like the Crusaders of old.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the
whatever.
Crusaders of old were trying to stop the encroaching
I don't
jihad,
know.
right?
I don't know the Crusaders. Maybe the Templars were pretty copacetic. I don't know, but anyway.
Let me give you a little picture, okay? Like just quick little reference. The reason so many people joined the Crusades: Spain was conquered, Sicily was conquered. Christians of the Byzantine Orthodox Church were getting slaughtered from the Levant.
Whatever.
Christians
all they had to do
it was
is
a
put
defense.
people's heads on pikes and
it's ancient.
pull their intestines out onto racks.
Oh, people.
Hey, what the Crusaders did in revenge was very disgusting. But back to the point of modern day supposed Crusaders.
Yeah, get over it. Okay, I mean, who cares? It was and they say that they rode their horses, spurs deep in blood. Who cares? Okay, it is what it is, and
I care.
Well, you shouldn't, because it was then, and we're supposed to be different now, aren't we? Yeah,
don't call it respectable in my presence, and you won't get a reaction out of me.
Okay. Aren't we supposed to get over ourselves? Aren't we supposed to?
I don't need to get over anything. I can criticize and give you my opinion whenever I feel like. You get over
it. Here's something a lot of people forget. Years later, after that bloody crusade situation, King Baldwin set up relations of peace between all three religions. Okay, so not everything was bad. Let's be fucking honest here.
Okay, I think the reason that people keep trotting all this stuff out is because they just can't face modern day reality. Here's the reality: we're at war in the oil patch. We've already knocked out offline 17%, round figures 1/5 of global LNG production, 1/5. That is enough to probably plunge the world into a global recession right there. That all by itself. And then we're going to do all this other shit and take it all offline probably at some point in the next 2 weeks or next 3 weeks. And probably some of it will happen on accident. Like blowing up that school for the girls was an accident. We'll blow up something thinking it was something else. It gets blown up and then it's gone. And
CNN
it's like,
and Fox haven't even said a word about that school in Iran that got blown out. And it's not just one of them, it's two of them now. Like they literally targeted the children of officials in their schools. It's madness.
We'll get ready for media management because, that's what propaganda is all about, folks, is you're supposed to know a narrative. And, George Orwell in 1984 gave us a warning. He said, look, they're going to manage your perception and you're going to have your 3 minutes hate and you're going to have your controlled opposition and you're going to like it. And at the end of the book, he takes the bullet, right? And he takes the bullet and he loves Big Brother. So at the end, you're going to like it. At the end, you're going to like it.
That's what I love about George Orwell, right? If an author has his books banned, he's a valuable author. Especially if he speaks against power, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of places that ban Mein Kampf, so I don't know how you're going to read that.
I like Alexander Solzhenitsyn in his Archipelago Gulag Archipelago. I want to get a hand on that. I've seen
fine.
Notes and commentary, but I need to read that book.
Here's my only concern is that we are going to back up. We're going to be backing into a global disaster because people don't understand that this is not rah our team. This is, you're dealing with the engine that runs the entire modern world. It didn't used to be this way. You could have wars like this in 1951 or 52. You could get away with this, but now you can't get away with this because there's 8,000 million humans who consume fossil fuels every single day for every single thing, and increasingly, even their water comes from fossil fuels, desalination plants, which are also on the chopping block in the Middle East. So I don't know. This is, I guess the right wing has it correctly. They're gearing us up for the end of the world, and I don't know, how am I supposed to feel about that? Yeah, okay, fine, bring it. I guess here we go. Bring it. I'm okay with it.
Well, on the religious end, right? The Bible literally says there will be. In the days of the Son of Man and his return, there will be plagues, there will be wars, there will be mass scophism, people who scoff and hate God on an extreme level.
You can set that all aside for a minute and just deal with physics. Let's just deal with physics, all right? 100% of everything that everybody does, 100% of the time, in 100% of the places, is dependent on 100% access constantly to cheap available fossil fuels, period. End of discussion. That's physics. That's the energy that keeps us all alive on a daily basis. And every single one of us are 72 hours away from turning into cannibals if we don't have fossil fuels.
Yeah, I mean, you are named
Mad
appropriately.
Max.
I'll give you that.
Mad Max
I don't know if I've
situation
ever heard anybody
can
like
come
be
about,
so doomer
depending.
over every single thing.
That's
Iran
right.
has blocked off the Strait of Hormuz many times already, just in my lifetime alone.
Well, look, the Gen
We didn't
X
all
grew
turn
up on
into
like the Mad
zombies.
Max
The global
theory,
economy didn't collapse.
Bro. The Gen X and even early millennials grew up on the Mad Max genre, thinking the oil crisis will cause that kind of situation. It's ingrained in their heads. So when it comes to nuclear war, also the Cold War, basically boomers and then early Gen X, they're absolutely stuck in that mindset of the Cold War and oil rationing. And here's another thing: you're not wrong when it comes to potential collapse, right? That a lot of people wouldn't know how to survive that situation. Most people don't know how to hunt, right? But here's the thing: most people don't even know how to farm. We've gotten so comfortable that if it does devolve, you're right. Most people have no idea how to and what to, where to, right? If they don't have those three things, you're screwed in so many ways. Doesn't matter what political ideology, what thing you push, whatever preaching you do of either atheism, a political movement, or religion. If you don't have those three things, you're screwed. But the other aspect is this: if the economy collapses, we have alternatives. I've already mentioned Canada's working on the alternative to bring up more oil, and I don't call it fossil fuels because that is a propaganda campaign from the Rockefeller oil titans back in the day, because they wanted a scarcity notion. They wanted people to think it was scarce to up the price of it, and they claimed it was made from dinosaur bones. No, it's not. That's a lie. That's not even part of physics or science or whatever the fuck you want consensus you want to use.
Plant material.
Yeah, a lot of it is plant material, right? They've proven that there is a connection between organic plants that have been like processed through. It's like the blood of the Mother Earth, basically. If you want to look at it that way. And like I care a lot about nature, but I understand also like even apes fight each other in the jungle over resources, territory.
Attrition and war is just human history. It's another Tuesday.
You're off topic. So the problem is not going to be where does the fossil fuel come from. The problem is not going to be how much does it cost. The problem is in the Middle East, in the Persian Gulf, they are blowing up facilities that take years to build and to repair. So for years, we're going to have sharp reductions in anything that has been targeted, starting with liquefied natural gas and probably going straight into refined products and raw crude oil itself eventually. This is the game they're playing now. And I'll be honest with you, if they wanted to save humanity from global heating, which is an existential risk at this point, look at what's happening in the U.S. right now. Just look at the headlines.
I don't believe
if they wanted, you don't have to. I'm not trying to propose something. If they wanted to deal with that, and if they wanted to save themselves as elites from 8,000 million of us, then the best way they could do it is just have a war in the Middle East and just blow it all to rat shit, and then they're done. Of
course.
And that's what they're doing.
Can I show you another angle to this situation? So, anybody from the religious perspective, if you understand where Arabs come from and where Iran and that part of the world comes from, a lot of them are from the house of Ishmael, right, related to Abraham. It was said as a prophecy back then that the house of Ishmael would always be in conflict with itself and others. You're right. This is another Tuesday. The house of Ishmael was literally prophetically cursed into constantly fighting each other. These wars between Muslims and Arabs constantly happening in the Middle East.
I don't care about.
You're not understanding. You don't care, but a lot of people live through theology and eschatology. That is what people are seeing. So a lot of people are saying, yes, it is just another fucking Tuesday, and they're not going to worry. This is just Ishmael going off again.
Okay, well, they might change their tune when petrol at the pump is $12 a gallon.
We're talking about people who live with flip-flops and no gas and
no, I'm talking about. Dude. Okay, that's nobody. Jesus, what is wrong with you people? You have to be grounded in reality, okay? Just deal with reality. The reality is your food at the store is delivered on a diesel truck that drove 1,200 miles here in the U.S. anyway.
Iran provides 10% of the world's oil. The lion's share of it goes to China. That's what this is about. It's about militarily encircling China and depriving them of the resources they need to compete, just like it was the last 8 times we invaded the Middle East. This is stated U.S. foreign policy. You know, just read what they're telling you they're doing. Right. It's not some secret conspiracy to end global warming.
Myself being from Canada, I don't give a shit about oil prices because we have more oil than you do. We don't care about your oil crisis.
My purpose here is to try to provide a balance to all this theological claptrap and just point out the realities of physics. Okay, physics.
Claptrap.
That's my job.
Explain your meaning.
It's mythology. Who cares? Everything you're talking about is mythology.
Cares.
It matters if the people in charge believe it, bro. That's the thing. You're entirely missing his point.
Who believe it, there's classes who believe it, working class believes it. You are on the majority of this democracy. This democracy, your notion of let's just rely on physics, it is the minority in the argument.
Okay, but there is one vote that counts more than all your other votes. I don't care who you are. There's one vote, and that's the planet. The planet gets the final vote. Planet vetoes, the planet votes, and you're going to be in big trouble if they manage to cut off the fossil fuels. You're going to be in a world of hurt.
I'll be fine.
How so?
I live in Canada. We have hydropower and all sorts of other forms of power. We do not give a shit. We've been moving away from oil for a long time.
Yeah, and while I haven't built my own farm yet, I still have family all over the country and the world that already have their farms going.
All right, so farmers are already complaining.
Self-sustaining already, bro.
Farmers, at least here in the U.S., I'm sure this applies elsewhere, some places. Farmers are already complaining about the price and availability of fertilizers as they go into the planting season.
No, I'm not talking about large agricultural farming. I'm talking about I'm talking about. No, you don't.
You have to.
No, you don't.
Most people survive.
Yeah, I'm not most people.
No, you can't. You can't do that.
You're not listening. You're just yelling over.
No, it won't work.
There's self-sustaining farms all over the world, bro.
No, it's not going to feed everybody. And when they run out of food,
feed me. He didn't say everybody. He said himself.
They're going to find your farm, and they're going to eat everything on your farm.
Who's going to find my farm? Who's going to find my farm, bro?
This guy lives in the zombie apocalypse. Like every day is the zombie apocalypse.
He's assuming it's the Mad Max. This is not Mad Max, bro. Like, what the fuck are you on? I used to think
I'm talking about
like Mad Max and people will come take my shit.
I'm talking
They're hiding in their bunkers. They're hiding under rocks right now because they're scared as shit of God right now. They know. They already know he's coming back.
No, God is not coming back. They're scared of the masses. Because the masses are going to run out of food, run out of water, run out of electricity,
they're sitting in their bunkers right now, begging the rocks to fucking hide from, bro.
Shout out to my chat, by the way.
But like, I think you're being a little too doomer. You got to be more optimistic.
Gang up on Cougar here. Give him a chance to speak. Give him a bit of breathing space.
Right.
Yeah, look, the elites feed you religion so you can have these thoughts that you're going to be okay. Then they make sure they're going to be okay, and they're going to have high enough walls, more enough places. Elon Musk is trying to go to Mars. Okay, so they're going to figure this out for themselves, and they're going to leave the rest of you waiting for Jesus to come back and make everything right. And Daddy Jesus ain't going to do that, and they know that. Daddy Jesus isn't going to bring you nitrogen fertilizer.
No offense, but that's historically ignorant.
Well, they're feeding you this.
Exploitative, greedy billionaires on the planet still eventually drag the rest of society along with them.
They have fed you a line.
Absolutely hate.
They have fed you a line, and you like the story. And most people like a nice story.
What story? What are you talking about?
That if they blow up enough of the Holy Land, Christ Jesus will be invoked to come down to earth and lay on hands, and then everybody will be raptured.
I'm a strong anti-theist.
Well, that's the story
you're talking about.
That's the story they're doing to the masses.
One second. Right, guys, I got to mute you guys. Sorry. We've got Retro here. Please let Retro say something, maybe to provide a little bit of space.
What's that?
Calm down. Go ahead, Retro. What would you like to say, mate?
I'll always thank you, DNW. Thank you, Cougar, for keeping it real. And I want to apologize to Denizen. I was actually mad at Fox, dude. I took it out on you, and I feel bad. And yeah, it's my fault. And yeah, y'all keep on arguing. I'm over here just sitting on the if y'all want to tag me in, I'll go in there and argue with nobody.
Go ahead. Then Denizen wanted to say something. Go ahead, Denizen.
I'm not I'm an anti-theist. This religious stuff doesn't mean anything to me. The project for a new American century and the stated purpose of these incursions in the Middle East are discussed not on CNN so much, right? But they are discussed in among the intelligence communities and the the lobbyist communities. So the information is out there. They intend to be a blockade between Russia and Europe so that they can control the flow of oil and make sure that Russia cannot profit from providing Europe a majority of its oil. And they intend to encircle China militarily and cut them off from the oil that they need in order to compete with us economically and globally. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. The Strait of Hormuz being closed is not great for the global economy. It's not great for Americans, but it's not hitting Americans the way that it's hitting the Chinese or the other smaller nations that are more reliant upon Iran's output. We here in the United States do not rely on Iranian oil, and we just took Venezuela over, and we're economically revolutionizing Venezuela and essentially denationalizing their oil as we speak right now. And this is all most of this foreign policy has to do with the fact that the United States prefers not to use its own resources and rather use up the rest of the world's resources first. We here in the United States have among the largest natural gas reserves of anywhere on the planet. We haven't even begun to tap into our own resources here. So I don't buy the doom and gloom.
You're not wrong. You're like You're fourth in place. Canada is third in the world biggest. America's fourth.
Yeah, and I get that we're having a little hissy fit right now. Nobody likes Trump, and there's all the tariffs, and so Canada and the United States are fighting again. But do you think if it comes down to global war and a shortage of oil, that Canada, Mexico, and the United States aren't going to work together and be a North American superpower? I mean, you're just not thinking realistically. You're letting the headlines, tell you how to think. And
you're not wrong. Again, they even have trade with Europe. They're not going to be bothered. We can literally be like a turtle.
I don't think anybody here is listening to headlines, though.
I'll tell you where the weakness in my thinking is. I base all of this on past. Past equals prologue. I'm not trying to predict what these people are going to say and do. I'm going by what they say and do all the freaking time. So, and ultimately, if things are going to revolutionize, if they are going to change, that's where I'll have my blind spot. When things stop happening exactly the way they've been happening for as long as I've been alive and for the last 200 years of recorded history, that's when I'll be caught off guard, obviously, and I rest.
That's one good point, I think, because when you're growing up initially, you have a perception of the world, but then you see deceit from these certain things, and then it happens again, and that these apologies, deceit, and then it just becomes, I guess, I'm sure, Buddhist stuff is big. In 40 years of my life, I could see a pattern, and in the past sort of like 5-10 years, I would have said, well, these things are like happened the same thing about 15-20 years ago.
History rhymes, they say. It's why game theory is very pertinent. It's the observation of the domino effect of policy, reality, and kinetic forces and political forces, right? Whatever wording you want to put in there, but it is literally just the observation of the dominoes, and people can see the dominoes, right? So like everybody has their opinion, their political notion, what they're afraid about, and like like our countries, Canada, USA, has already figured out the domino of the oil crisis. It's a moot point because we can galvanize and organize ourselves and still have trade with Europe, Canada, America, and Mexico, and we can actually turtle ourselves away from the entire world economy and be isolationist if we wanted to. So this doomer type worry of the oil crisis, to be honest, I think your doomer mentality, it's misplaced, but can be accurately placed when it comes to water. Water in the future is the blind spot in the domino effect in the future.
I'm for the
there's a shortage of water. There's a shortage of water in the Middle East right now, and it's very fucking bad.
That's what's causing the migration patterns that are causing all the political upheaval. That's the other half of this conversation. Uprisal in Iran is not the only problem. The populations in Europe are uprising against their own governments at the same time.
You can't go to war with a negative of water, right? Like if you have a positive,
eventually people will refuse war over water or whatever. They'll want something different, but it's just they're not quite ready. We were hoping they were ready. They're just not quite ready. So the society will keep moving and forwards with that path until people aren't
grinding up the.
Who's not ready for what?
War, like until people refuse to fight each other and just understand sustainability. You know what I'm saying? Like if everybody had a garden and you had to leave your garden and your crops are going to go bad to go to war, would you go to war if your family and your children ate from the garden you tend every day? Right. So it's just like as soon as people just say no, and this is what they're going to do. Otherwise, they'll protect. They'll stay and tend their garden, but they'll also protect only it. They're not going to protect the billionaires that won't protect their shit without them dying.
I think I understand. Yeah, I like it.
You can talk about tactics and politics all day, but if you don't have the logistics of food and water, you're screwed.
I wish the world worked that way. When the settlers came to North America and they found all the abundance of everything. They just took it. They took it because they had the muskets and they had the technology, and they just took what they wanted. And they even took things from the Native Americans. They didn't necessarily share. They took their land. They took their water. So in the end,
they also made business with the natives.
Okay, I don't care. In the end, when the elites,
I do care.
So am I. And I'm Native, and I don't care because it's not going to help us in the future. It's the past. It's not going to help us in the future. When the elites,
the past helps a lot. But go ahead.
He's talking about the past as he tells us not to care about our opinions about
it.
He did the same thing with the Crusades a minute ago.
For fuck's sake, listen, gentlemen, we're dealing with the reality right now, and right now there is something going down in the Middle East, and if they can knock off 20% of the LNG, 20% of the fertilizer, and 20% of the crude oil, however they do it, then we're in a fine kettle of crap, okay? So how are they going to do that? I don't know. They're talking about it. They have their deadlines. They have their ultimatums.
You assume we're going to be in crap, but right now I see a lot of investors investing in Canadian and American oil to fix this problem. This is already moot. This is not a crisis of oil.
Okay,
this can be solvable within 2 years. Not a joke.
You don't have
fertilizer. Canada's the biggest producer, bro. Fertilizer is the biggest producer of everything you just said, bro.
You don't have 2 years.
2 years to fix a crisis.
At best, you've got 2 months. You got 2 months.
Be right, but the timeline is not.
2 months.
You need to build up. You need to build up getting the oil to market and all that stuff.
Hold on,
right?
I want to get this on the record. You're saying that at the current, given our current situation, the United States only has 2 months
to do what?
Okay. I don't have to say. Okay, wait. First of all, I didn't say that. Let me just tell you what I think is the problem. The problem is not Canada or the U.S. or Mexico. The problem is the global industrialized civilization. The U.S. doesn't manufacture much of anything. They import their manufacturing from China. China is heavily reliant on Iranian oil and liquefied natural gas to manufacture the things that we bring in. American farmers use a lot of nitrogen fertilizer. We don't make nitrogen fertilizer in this country to speak of. We import a lot of it cheaply. whatever. We import a lot, and the farmers in America are complaining they're not getting their fertilizer in time for planting. And they're already saying we're going to have half yields. That's what they're saying, not me. I didn't think about that until they said that. So that's data. Let's just roll with what they say. If they can't get fertilizers, they're going to have half yields. Now, if they don't put a lot of food onto the market at some point, like 6 months from now or a year from now, then the only people who are going to get that food are going to be the people with a lot of money because it's going to be expensive. And so they get it first. As always, they get everything first. And then whatever they don't need or they don't decide to hoard or to sell to their oligarch buddies in Russia, well, then we get the rest. And I don't know what's going to be left. And you should be worried about that.
What the hell was your original question, Dan? What did he say that you wanted to get on?
Yeah, that there was some oil crisis being caused, and we only had 2 months to deal with it.
Oh, right. So you were explaining why we were going to go shit in 2 months instead. We were going to go array, I guess. Go array.
With a low
guys, he mentioned that America buys from China, right? They rely on Iranian and oil. Guess what? America and all of NATO is divorcing itself from Chinese manufacturing because it is a liability for national security. It is.
Yeah.
So this is actually a benefit. We need to invest in our own people and build.
But that's a 5-year to 10-year project. Go ahead and do it. It's a great project. You do that. However, it's going to take 5 years to do that. We've got 2 months to figure this out.
Why do you say 2 months? What's the problem in 2 months? What's happening in 2 months?
Because they're already taking offline liquefied natural gas production, crude oil facilities, crude oil transfer, tankers, and fertilizer production in the Middle East.
Dude, the fertilizer production is booming. Everything you just said is booming in Canada, and we are your major trade partner. You want your fertilizer? Fuck off with the tariffs, bro. You'll get your fertilizer.
Okay, well, everything is as it is. Everything is as it is. And the farmers are complaining they can't get their hands on fertilizer.
Is this to do with global reaction to Strait of Hormuz, or this is beyond it? What you're just
the fertilizer has to do with the trade issues between Canada and America with Trump's tariffs. The fertilizer situation is being choked up.
I see. I know, what you're saying too, but I just want to know specifically: is his involving the current condition?
We live in a global marketplace. For example, U.S. oil it does not stay in the U.S. U.S. oil goes onto the global market, and wherever's the highest bidder gets the U.S. oil. That may not be U.S. Fuel distributors. It may be someone in China who has a higher need, willing to pay more. Someone in Europe who hasn't had any tankers come in for a couple of weeks, and so they're willing to pay more. So everything goes on the global market, and whether you get it or not, it doesn't matter where it came from. It matters who pays the most. And the problem with that is it drives up the price of everything. As everybody starts stockpiling and grabbing with both hands and both feet, suddenly everything becomes scarce. Maybe it's artificial scarcity, maybe it's hoarding, maybe it's geopolitics. Frankly, it doesn't matter. That's how it works. It's an open market. It's a free market. It's capitalism. And so eventually the price of these things goes up because people are worried and they're nervous and they're buying with both hands and both feet. And that's where the problems come in.
Yeah, if you're saying that we're going to be in a more inflated economy, and that it's going to be even harder to buy food and pay for rent, and that the quality of life is going to decrease for the Western world unless it does something to rebuild its manufacturing and its supply chain. Yeah, it already has been for the last 6 years now. I don't know where you've been, and it's going to get worse over the next 6. But we're not going to be.
And it can.
Let me say this, homie. Let me say this. Okay.
It can get worse.
When it comes to the difference in generations, guys, people who are older are constantly harping about the Cold War scarcity, oil crisis. Is that people who are younger, millennials and Gen Z and even Gen Alpha now coming out of high school, we're all already in scarcity. We've been in scarcity since 2000 fucking A. We got rent we can't pay. We can't even make families. So when you're arguing to us about scarcity, we're already years ahead of you trying to figure our own survival plans. Like in Switzerland, they have a literal plan to make every single suburban house have their garden with their food in the back, and they all bring it to the market, and they have their own little internal little economy with their farms. systems. It's beautiful. It works.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. When we are thinking about scarcity, no other fucking people on the planet, especially boomers, they should be quiet about it, because millennials, we've been in scarcity the whole time. We lived in the best time to be children, but as adults, the economy shit, the oil shit. Most people don't even care about the Iran war. They don't even care about gas. Most people are using bicycle and buses right now because it's too fucking expensive. So that's not a joke. We're already in a position moving away from oil titan executives who keep killing inventors for new forms of free energy. I want free energy, bro. I want Tesla style free energy. I don't give a shit about oil. I don't give a shit about your market, bro.
Free energy, there's no money. You can't sell someone free energy.
Okay,
Exactly. The capitalist system does not survive. It's a bit of a segue. I don't mean to go there, but my point is the millennial mind is not very worried about this oil crisis like older people are when Mad Max came out and the Cold War was at its height.
Listen, I'd have
it's a
one
very different kind of thinking.
I got just one contention with what you said. The only thing millennials would share with those people you talked about is the gas. That's the only thing that's going to touch them, and they're going to complain about everything else. I think you're right about, but everybody going to be recognizing them gas prices.
Yeah,
even
and really,
millennials that take a bus
and really,
whatever,
in a backdoor way, you just reinforced everything I just said.
Can I just ask one quick question? Like, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, because on the gas thing, how much has it increased? What's the price that it's increased for you locally? For me, it's gone in Australia. It was $1.70 per litre, and it's now like $2.40 per litre.
Same in Canada. It barely went up. We were barely affected.
That's a lot.
I was paying less than $3, $2.77, and now it's $4 or something.
Exactly.
So everybody got about $1 to $2 increase around the board at least.
Yeah.
Well, it's about a percentage, really.
Well, for a lot of people,
it's another stress on our economies as generations, for sure.
Yes, but it is.
We are making do.
It's a stress test on generations.
Definitely.
Lindsay,
very well worded.
Below the video worded here on the Fighting Gnosis show.
And to the point that was raised, there's already a lot of stresses. And what you have to step back and think about is how many more stresses can the average person really take on?
Apparently, endlessly. Did you not live through COVID? Apparently,
later Gen X, Gen X and millennials, Y2K, 2008, COVID, the war on terror, 2001, like all this nonsense since the 90s, and then surviving the Epstein files, all that madness that they were doing coming out, knowing our elites are going through that and doing that, and all the conspiracy theorists were right about the cannibal cult. Like this, everybody's mentally fucking banged. Like we're sick and tired. We want harmony at some point, and most people are just Xing out of that and just focusing on self-healing. It's a big movement right now, just self-healing.
Am I wrong? Because the way you're talking about the millennials is that they survived this and they're Xing out. Am I wrong with thinking, you cats are not doing your job. You're supposed to be fighting. The millennials are fucking seem like they'll roll over and show their little soft underbelly for anything. Right? You're not gonna fight.
Interesting. But no, I'm seeing a lot of millennials actually gear up for their own fight. They're not gonna fight for some Epstein gang. They're not gonna fight in some World War III. They don't want to. Nobody wants to go to war.
Trans rights, or they'll do shit that they can't really affect, and affects 3% of the population or less. What the fuck is the big movement at?
Dude, there's look, Gen X, millennials, and boomers. There's a massive gap in understanding. Okay, because Gen X and boomers grew up in the greatest economy in the modern day, right? The biggest, most peaceful era in a bubble during the Cold War, right? It was cold. It wasn't a hot war. So boomers and Gen X, they could go to school, go to work. Like Gen X would literally tell me as a child, I could go to McDonald's, work at McDonald's for 2 summers and literally pay off a fucking car, a whole college tuition. Millennials, that job we were expected to take up, those small end gig jobs, right? Minimum wage jobs. Yeah. Our economic situation, the fucking minimum wage being raised to $15 or even $20 doesn't even pay for half the purchasing power you guys had. It's a big problem.
It's even worse.
We've had a much needed injection of divine femininity estrogen has come onto the panel. Linzilla, you are on the Finding Gnosis show. What would you like to say?
Hello, first of all. You invited me up, so I thought I would join. Am I loud enough?
We can hear you, Lance. Lance,
Okay. I
did
did
you
have
hear
Your
him
audio is
say?
clear.
You can yell if you want where you
Did you
speak.
hear him
Hello.
say, Lindsay, that you brought the divine femininity? I thought that was my job. What's going on here?
Okay. No, I did not hear that. Well, I was interested in the comment about a comparison to Finland. I think it was a pretty socialist country, and you were comparing
I brought up Switzerland and their farming system.
Switzerland. Okay, still also very liberal and socialist.
Capitalist.
Much less than us. Less so
They're
than
actually very socialistic.
that's what I was aiming for in my
Right.
question, which was how would you suggest, or how would it be possible to take a democratic republic like the United States, turning it in and turn it into a socialist state when people actually equate that with fascism, erroneously or not? But how could we even begin to move towards any of those aims to repeat
I would,
to
it would have to be
Universal
from the
basic
community.
income.
No. Let me answer the question, please. When it comes to that notion, right? The way Switzerland and Finland and other Scandinavian nations, they have a demographic of people ethnically. They all have an agreement of their ideas to a certain degree, and also a civility, right? They have a social contract to work as a socialist, even a socialist democracy, perhaps. A lot of them is from the ground up. You need to go to the community level. Some people are like, they don't like the commune thing, and I have my own arguments against socialism and perhaps even communism, if you want to go that way. But small commune, like if I live in a suburb right now, I would I would feel more secure if we had like a council where we'd work together to, hey, you should farm carrots, hey, you should do this, we'll work together. But then it's also, there is the capitalist leaning in the end, where we all meet each other in the market and we help sustain each other. And then there's a small little economy building up there. But the thing is, big investors and international business people, they don't want that. But on a localized level, it works. It always does. But turning the United States into something like that, that is extremely difficult because of the decadence and there is something to be said about hyper individualization. I like individuality, I really do. I'm all about free will, free speech, and all that stuff. But people are atomized, that especially since the quarantine, right? A lot of people are losing touch with their communities, and this is another reason why I advocate for theism, theistic communities, and even apolitical atheistic communities that have that socialistic aspect. They tend to care for each other, but it's impossible to form that when you have a pervasive system of capitalism that just constantly like I don't agree with communism, but I agree that they're on the policy that business, like, we're not making money. Like, I would suggest dividend, not
I don't
basic
even
income,
remember her
but
question
dividend.
at this point. I think it was, how do we go
She
toward the more
said
socialist?
how to turn America into a socialist country. Now this is
All
how
right,
I would do
thanks.
it.
All right.
any type of
Dividends.
realistic kind of
Yes, I would
idea
do
that
dividend policy. So you know how they try to denationalize oil and resources? The
yes.
problem with denationalizing such things means citizens do not make a profit off of the resource that was sold when we actually could. Right? If you look at the Gaddafi system in Libya before they took him out, he made his own bank. The dividends of the oil from the sales of Libya on an international market, he was sharing it check bi-weekly with every single citizen. Their studies were paid, their healthcare was paid, because they treated their country as a working together business. But the problem that we have in the United States, I'm not American, by the way, I'm Canadian. The private business sector does not want to do that. They want all the profits for themselves. So the issue really is a private sector to nationalized sector situation. So if I want to get my dividend situation, into play so everybody can make a profit. Everybody gets their cut, like a gang in a street making a cut off the drugs that they sell. But on a countrywide level, we're selling oil to other countries. Why can't we get a cut? They're making trillions of dollars where I'm forced to go get a minimum wage. That's not right. People
We'd have
should
to
have the
cut out a lot of
prosperity.
these private contracts that we got.
No,
So
they
the
don't do
dividends
that
have
in
been found to
Switzerland.
work, but the issue is the private sector versus national sector. That's the main issue.
Switzerland is an extremely capitalist society. They
They're
emphasize
extremely
private
socialistic,
ownership.
actually.
Yeah, I
No,
thought it was
They're a mix of both. They're a mix of both. Actually,
everything's
they're
a
very
mix of both.
hybridized.
They emphasize private ownership and entrepreneurship and limited government over all of the principles.
That's the thing to her question. If you want to turn America into a social republic, you would have to get the dividends nationalized. You get the resources on the market nationalized, so every single citizen can make a cut. You wouldn't even have to tax people at that point.
But they don't nationalize in Switzerland. They
don't want to nationalize. The business community wants to keep.
They emphasize
parasiting.
private ownership and entrepreneurial endeavors in Switzerland.
And they defend that because it's their interest to do so.
I'd like to go.
What you people are calling socialist is just welfare.
But to answer the question, the U.S. actually did that. To the question, the U.S. did that in the 1930s, and it was fairly easy to sell because the U.S. economy imploded for various reasons, and the people were about to rebel and probably adopt communism. And so the powers that be didn't want that. They saw that would happen in Russia. They didn't want that for themselves. So they worked with FDR basically to come up with all the, I don't know, 24 trials at work programs and giveaways and soup kitchens. And of course, eventually we got the Social Security Administration and some vestiges of the welfare state. So to the question, which is a good question, how we do that in the U.S., which was the question, well, we have to go through an absolute crushing existential crisis. And then we just kind of do it to survive, okay? That's how you do it.
Apply a dividend policy and nationalize resources.
I think it was my turn to get in, and I'm just opening up for you, Lindsay.
I want to get in after you.
I don't really have anything, so I was just making open.
Okay. I just thought the topic was fascinating, and I thought it was also fascinating that part of his answer of turning a democratic republic into a socialist, so to speak, because it's arguable whether it can be, whether it is actually, a socialist state or a capitalist, whatever.
I mean, you can argue over it, but you'd be wrong.
I think you had a point, and I give you that point for sure. But the thing that I wanted to touch on, as part of his answer was, turn it into a theocracy. I would like to know one nation that is theocratic, that is together as much as can be in solidarity, because you have to give up your freedoms in agreement to be a theocratic country, right? And then you have issues like they do in the Middle East, where you have the modern people wanting to be more westernized, and or they're still Muslim oriented to a point, but they want to adapt some more westernized factions. And then you have the people that want the traditional kind of orthodox way of living. Mm-hmm. And to me, when I see a theocratic nation, I see it constantly diminishing freedoms and causing unrest. So
I didn't advocate for theocracy, ma'am. I didn't advocate for that. No. I advocated for a dividend nationalized policy of resources.
You said theocratic nation.
When it comes to religion and people working together, people tend to work together very well.
You thought that brought people together. So my contention with this, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just saying is, heck yeah, religion and spirituality and those kinds of things can really unite people and bring them together. But at the same time, they can also destroy your freedoms and promote groupthink. And so
I would not deny you that notion. That is the truth, and it can happen. But political dogma does get in the mix. This happens. It's history.
You don't have to go any further than this forum 30 minutes ago. to see what a theocracy would look like. Screaming, shouting, heresy, accusations of cannibalism. Okay, that's what you get.
There you
in
go.
That transition.
They were accusing me of being a cannibal because I'm Christian. But yeah,
I'm not saying they were
That's not a
right. I'm saying
joke.
that's what they
That's
were
not a
doing.
joke.
I'm saying that's what they were doing.
They weren't
okay?
even theistic. They were atheistic and jumping on me because I believe in God. Right?
Forced theocracy
It's gonna happen.
is going to cause contention, not unity. That's my argument. That's what I would.
I think that's a good argument borne out by history and by current day, modern day.
There's benefits to a community who believe in the same religion, who have an agreement to work together. That was my point, right? So when people all agree on the notion, guys, we don't even need to bring in religion. Switzerland works together because they all agree to work together.
Right.
They all have
and that's why I don't think you can do it here in the United States. It would take a fundamental change.
The left and the right won't agree, right?
Right, and we'd have to defederalize. The emphasis would have to be put on local communities, even above cities and states. We'd have to completely halt our immigration policy. Right? Because you can't have like a breadbasket of the entire world and expect them to agree on how you're going to spend everybody's money.
Melting pot theory is, and the reason I mentioned dividends, ladies and gentlemen, people say we're a corporation as a country, right? So why aren't the employees, aka the citizens, making a cut? It's a very working class argument I'm proposing here.
Right.
So without
national dividends would be like the best way we could do it in the United States.
Exactly. Like, you know how some tribes actually do that? If they make a deal with the government, okay, we'll sell our resources from this land and the government can get a cut, but we all get a cut, right?
Alaska
it's
does
just
it.
Exactly. They work on a dividend system that some people would accuse of being socialistic, but I think since we're employees of a supposed business entity, we should be making money off of selling our resources on the market together. But we're not. It's a business elite that is hoarding the wealth to themselves. America, and by the way, if we all got our dividends, this is not UBI. This is profit of business as a group together, right? Like a gang investing together, but it's a country. A corporation.
It's an idealistic notion for the United States.
It's not idealistic. It's worked.
Just my opinion.
No.
It's a beautiful notion. I like the way it sounds, but I really don't think. Okay. Sorry.
That's inevitable.
No. I was going to say.
We also need to clear ourselves from this notion that CEOs are actually paid according to market value. That has we will have to let go of that at some point and realize that the market is not setting the price of CEOs. It's the CEOs that are setting the price of CEOs.
Let me tell you what I do instead of being contentious. I do, really quick, agree with your notion that it's the top wage earners that are unfairly, represented and have more sway than anyone. I do agree there's a huge problem there in the United States. So
yes, they would be completely against the dividend policy.
Yeah. So it's not going to happen.
CEOs, guys.
Yeah.
Cougar Jimmy, please, guys.
Would you be okay with working really hard, 9 to 5, since age 20, all your life, and being maybe starting your own business and you're wildly successful, or at least more so than you thought? Maybe you make let's just say $700,000 a year, because that's a nice chunk of change, but it's not too extravagant. Would you be okay with sharing that money with people that you don't know that are in your halves because the government told you to do so?
You wouldn't be. There would be people you know. You would be sharing that money with your community, and it would be a community where there's less crime, where there's accountability for crime, where there's less corruption in the government, where the institutions aren't completely failed and corrupt. So if you're talking about a functioning society where everybody contributes to it and takes care of each other, then there's be a lot less resentment about sharing and taking care of other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that
Linzilla would be high. You'd have to pay a wizard a lot of money to keep the peace there.
Yeah, but Linzilla, I think Linzilla isn't so concerned about the utopian aspects of what could we do if we had a magic wand. I think maybe the question on table is how do we get there from here? And $700,000, that's a fair chunk of change. Sorry,
Well,
You know,
it's
I've
more
been
than most people make, right? But it's not going to be in the top 10% of wage earners in the United States who have all the control and power. I'm comparing it to sort of like a fiefdom mentality that we've always had in some way, shape.
It's true. Yeah, it's
National
true.
dividends was a great answer to the question. A
No,
majority of the
it's not.
population, yes, it is. A
Because
majority of the
no, because
population
there's no
everywhere
way
in the
to.
United States is going to support that. Even in the
No,
face,
they're not.
even in the
They're
yes,
not.
they
They
will.
won't.
Yes, they
Because the
will.
wealthy
Americans
won't.
don't.
The
The
private sector
wealthy
will
don't
never
vote as
support
much.
dividends.
The wealthy won't support it, and so it won't happen.
They don't vote as much.
They buy votes. What are you talking about? What planet are you on?
When they need to,
Well,
They
I was
guys,
going to say
buy.
something
here's
before.
They
can I get
own
in
I
on my
want to say
Congress.
question,
something
bro?
quickly.
They
The
own
oil
Parliament. What are you
companies
talking about?
pay dividends in Alaska.
Okay, that's a treaty they worked out with the Alaskan government. And by the way, that money's running out. What are those people going to do with all that money? It's gone. They're going to leave Alaska, and they're going to have to go find some other
It's
place to
also a
live.
precedent. It's a precedent. It's also
You
what
think
it
they're
is.
going to vote against getting that money?
The money won't be there.
Do you think
I
they're
mean,
going to
he
vote
just keeps moving
against
the
They will.
goalposts
that
every time.
money?
Just keep dragging the goalposts out until we're in the middle of the ocean and it's impossible to ever do anything for anybody.
Would the people vote against getting that money? I mean,
There
I
won't be
guess
any
there's.
money.
I think so.
That was
The
not
money
my
will be
question.
gone.
That was not my question, but
That
I
is the
think
answer to the question. What money?
to some question, not mine.
He just started the fact that we are an individualist country, or at least North America, are based on individualism, not collectivism. So, are these people really?
That's why national dividends are a good idea. Each individual is going to be like, yes, I would love to have free money every day.
Everybody gets a cut of the resource profit we make. So it's ROI. It's not tax from taxes. It's not at all from taxes. It's an ROI off of the resources we sell on the global market. Okay. So how much money does a country make in oil per year? Let's just say it's 1 trillion. Okay. Government gets its cut because they manage the situation, and then every single citizen gets a check at the end of the week.
Do you think
Every
Elon
single time.
Musk and his little buddies and an individualist society and a me culture is going to go for that?
Who?
That's the
What?
problem.
As opposed to
Elon
what?
Musk.
Like they're not even
Elon Musk gets a vote.
non-factor.
I'm talking about the elite. They're rich, and he's like kind of like a figurehead.
Right.
And
yeah, he gets a vote. And as a matter of fact, I think he would support it.
When it comes to the elite, if they're smart, they'll invest into the dividends, my friends. If they're smart, they'll definitely invest into a dividend system, because UBI is going to collapse. Dividends work. UBI doesn't long term. And the thing
he's
is,
for UBI now.
Some people won't invest in the dividend nationalized policy so that we can all make money as a society together. That's just true. Why? Because some of the elites want the wealth to themselves. That is a fact. But most people, we're a democracy, right? A republic. The people have a say. We can push policy. We can eventually
and
get
smart rich people know it's not a fixed sum, that if you make poor people richer and you create a middle class, it's the best way to be the richest trillionaire. And like, that is how you make rich people even more rich, is by having poor people spending a ton of money and middle class that can have disposable income to buy the stupid shit they don't need from the billionaires.
It would still help them out.
Has anybody heard of Decembrism? Decembrism is a form of socialism where the rich want everybody rich. It's not the Octoberist Russian Revolution of just take and take and take like a welfare state. Decembrism was an earlier revolt in Russia against the czars on a business level, where the rich wanted everybody to be rich because they would get even richer over time because everybody's prospering. So
how they go about doing that?
The dividend system, the nationalized dividends. I think every single citizen and worker in the working class should be paid a modicum of the ROI from the resources we sell as one.
Yeah, but let's just pretend that people are stretched so hard and so far right now that they don't have a generation to wait for another type of revolution that maybe or maybe doesn't work. They need relief now. They need something now. Maybe they need UBI. You're saying it's not going to happen. Okay, fair. I don't think it's going to happen either. So they're not going to get UBI. They're not going to get social welfare. They're cutting off food benefits. They're getting rid of all the support programs here in the U.S. for the U.S. citizens. Fine. Okay, that's the trend. That's the plan. What is going to happen for people here in just the U.S. who are absolutely at the end of their rope? What's going to happen to them in the next year to save them from going over the Seneca cliff? How do we save those people, or do we not bother? Because that's also an answer.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I just told you people do nothing but lay down and accept what they got coming to. There is no saving, since this is what you're saying.
But saving them from what?
Okay, the people that elected Donald Trump told him, you have to fix the economy. We can't afford to live. We have to make choices every month between paying the rent or buying food. That's what they told him. And he came in and he didn't do that. So now people are pissed. So what are we going to do for people who have said their primary concern is they can't every month pay rent and buy food at the same time? What is our story for them? And I don't mean some abstract socialist utopia. I mean, what is the solution that someone can offer them?
The migration, just like it always has been. They're going to end up
migration where?
They're going to end up moving to
Grapes of Wrath. What are you talking about?
Do you just want to keep asking the question, or do you want an answer?
Migration where? How's this possible?
They're just going to keep moving to places where it's less expensive and start consolidating their living spaces, just like they have in the past. You're not going to be able to have your nuclear family living in a single household. People are going to have to double up.
Okay.
Just like the immigrants do. And they're going to have to move away from Ohio and Washington State and Northern California and start migrating to places where it costs a fraction of the amount of money to live, where there's currently a lot less people.
That's very much a Marie Antoinette let them eat cake response, okay? That didn't work.
I'm just talking about reality. I'm just talking about what will happen.
That's what she said.
Instead of pontificating, what are you going to do if it goes to shit? I want to know what you would do.
He just wants it to go to shit. Look at his name.
That's why I'm asking. What's his plan? What's your plan?
I am worried that it's going to go to shit, and that a lot of people are going to suffer, and they will. Well, that's my job, is to help you understand your situation. They will end up migrating. You're quite right. They will do that.
It seems like your job is to scare people out of potential solutions.
No.
It's fear.
Every single one that's been offered to you from every single side of the aisle, you just shit on it and keep dragging the goalposts out until it makes it impossible.
No, because I'm dealing with reality, and Linzilla is too.
No. You grew up around the Cold War, and your entire youth was about crises this, crises that. I must worry. Millennials, we've been in the crises. We're quiet. We don't give a shit anymore. We're trying to figure ourselves out and self.
Okay, that's fine. So you're probably an accelerationist. Good for you. Now, that doesn't solve the problem. Figuring that it's just going to blow to pieces, and that's okay because that's the normal course of things. Yeah, that's millennial thinking. That's fine.
Calling me an acceleration.
What if we want to go beyond that? Is there any?
Wait. You sit on every idea we've put forth. Please give us yours.
Yeah, I want to know your survival plan. What are you going to do? Stop talking about us and other people.
I want for the American people to not worry so much about whether Jesus is in the White House or not, and get down to the business of solving the problems of wealth inequality,
nobody thinks that fucker's Jesus.
And all the solutions we gave you shot on and said were impossible.
Technology overreach. People are going to have to go to their leaders and tell them, I don't want to suffer anymore. But they're not doing it.
Can I say this before I drop off? I'd like to say a thing to outro out on, because I need to go. I need to do something. I just want to say this. Denizen and others, I know sometimes we disagree. I've been theory testing the dividend nationalized policy for a long time.
No, that's an excellent idea, bro. It really is.
I'm asking you to theory test it. I've been theory testing.
No, I have been. I've been thinking about it for like the last 3 or 4 years myself. And it's an excellent way to merge the gap between like a really individualistic, selfish society like America.
You could even merge left wing and right wing because it's capitalistic and socialistic at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
So
No, it's a good
before I
idea.
drop
Yeah.
off here, I'm going to ask all of you to theory test on your own field of thinking dividend nationalized policy. And it's not about welfare state. It specifically, we're all like employees and as citizens of the country, right? We should be making a cut, and I see a business class that is hogging our prosperity.
Look,
In the
y'all thought
past,
about it
it was
before.
designed that we should prosper together.
Yeah, I thought about it before. I haven't, but the first thing while y'all was talking about it, I was thinking of is that it can't be just like general basic income, and they just tell us this is what you're getting. I don't think that worked. You couldn't sell that anyway to the Republicans. That's welfare. But so the first thing I thought that you'd have to break it down into so and so, like you guys did with the oil. You'd have to know this is it. This is how much money we got out for this. This is the check you got coming.
Right.
That probably
Right.
Yes, and as a citizen of this place with these
it's
resources, here's your individual breakdown of income.
So we all know how a gang operates, right? They sell drugs on a corner, and the profit they make at the end of the month, they come up to every single gangster and they're like, okay, here's your cut. That's a dividend off their market. That's how they survive. So that actually works on a national level.
It works on car insurance. Will it work on
It
a
actually,
national
yeah.
level?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna let you expand on that. I'm gonna go.
It works
You're onto something, Lindsay.
Works in car insurance, for example, USAA, a military insurance company. It does work because they give you a lower cost. I feel like a salesman or a salesman. They give you a lower cost, and they give you any excess dividends that spill over. And not too many companies do that, but it is great incentive for people of the military and their families, their kids, etc. It's a great motivator. So I'm liking the theory. I want to learn more about it. I want to read about it. I want to see how viable it is. And that's his,
I think somebody was talking about the private shit. That's gonna where it's gonna go next. The private companies are gonna be your biggest block.
Right, because just think about a situation. We're talking about a crisis in which capitalism is not working.
Right.
It's not providing food, and it's not providing shelter. And so you don't think under those circumstances is going to be when the private companies of all people are going to try to preserve capitalism at all costs by making all sorts of concessions that they weren't willing to make to begin with. Not only that, but now you're in an environment where everybody's like goes from saying pull up yourself by your own bootstraps to saying, hey, wait a minute, fuck you, buddy.
Where's my shit?
Where's my share? Exactly.
This is related, believe it or not. But what kind of government does Japan have? What would you call it?
You mean economically? It's capitalist.
Okay, because then here's the.
But they have extremely limited immigration policy, and they're extremely traditional, and their family and community values are almost as strong as government force itself. So that's why they can get away with
significant
welfare.
Variables. But let me make the point that I was going to make, please. They are okay. So they're capitalist. So are we. We're not dealing with the same dynamics. I get it. But did you know that they have the number one, the lowest homeless rate of any nation?
Right. That's because they take care of their own.
Right.
And they won't allow it. It'd be a national embarrassment.
Didn't know it, hadn't thought about it.
Here we step over homeless people.
I'm just saying it can be done because usually
I know, yeah.
kind of a like you said, kind of a fatalist. It can't be done. Give me science, prove it. That kind of person. But I don't know. My mind is kind of opened to this idea now.
Yeah, you're singing my language. You're singing my song now.
Y'all scaring me though, because it looks like if this system is working for Japan, maybe part of the price they're paying is the freedoms. When you give a motherfucker such things as these comforts and securities, you can easily, if you're corrupt, strip away other shit. Now suddenly they'll agree to shit as long as they get that check.
Freedom's a bumper sticker.
And you want to hate women, or you want to hate men, or you want to do shrooms on a Tuesday, or you want to get married to a gay guy, whatever it is, you can do all those things. There are freedoms in Japan. I'm not saying that's the magnum opus country of the century, but I am saying that we're kind of like them in some ways too, and that there is hope. And I'm trying not to be such a fatalist. But when I came in here too, I would say it's about 3 months ago. I remember I was in Flo's room or OTW or something like that, and I brought up the fact that I was really worried that there was going to be a war with Iran and Israel, and the sky is falling kind of thing. And
Yeah,
told me I was crazy, and go back and go to sleep, girl. Now look, there is a point in being concerned with things, and actually the fatalism might not be too far off. It may be a very realistic notion, but it shouldn't stop us. But I'm tired of people saying, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Just put your head down, concentrate on your family, your groceries, your salary, your individualist needs, and don't worry about it. Yeah. Because, I worry.
You got no control. I have people say there ain't nothing you can do. No way, man.
Yeah, just read the news and then go to other sources because the news is biased. Learn about it, educate yourself, talk to people who give a crap, and find out what you're going to do. And then
find people closest to the situation too, especially if it's world news. Absolutely. That cuts through all of the bullshit.
Everybody
is heavy. You are going to be stressed out. You're going to feel fucked up. You're going to start hating people, maybe. But what's better than the truth? What can you do with a beautiful lie? Not much.
Well, you're not going to get the truth from any of these information sources, unfortunately.
You are going to get as close as you can.
Wait. I'm saying I think the closest you can. Even the witness on the street has their bias, but that's to me, that's just like gold. When I get so lucky that I'm about so-and-so bombing in and so-and-so bombed, when they run up to a motherfucker, throwing bricks out his building and ask him, that's the closest I can get, man, to run a motherfucking thing.
You just do the best you can, right?
Yes.
I almost, suspect that being completely unplugged and not listening to any of the propaganda is the only way you can get closer to the truth.
50-50, right? It's probably just as fruitful.
I go into the rooms where they're speaking Yiddish and any language that I don't understand and use Google Translate. And it's a great way to find out what other countries are being fed and what the people of the countries are actually thinking and feeling. It's a lot of
trouble about that, and I just got an update saying you now have a Google Translate or AI Translate. I don't know if it was in the Apple or something, but they just gave me that message today. The new version of so and so Translate. You can do this, you do that. I was like, yeah, and just subscribe pro fast.
Everybody thinks they're in end times.
Agreed.
So far, from what I can see, is at moments of crisis, that's when human beings actually work together. Not only that, it's when the particular solutions become more visible and more possible. Both because we don't really realize the underlying causes of these problems until they get really bad and the truth is exposed, raw, and also because those are the conditions in which everybody is motivated to change their mind, think a little differently, cooperate, sacrifice, do some shit they don't want to do, change short-term thinking into long-term thinking.
I hate to think it's true, but I hate to think that that's like the only route. It's definitely a guaranteed route. I see it work all the time. Under tragedy, every motherfucker become friends with the nigga you hate. Suddenly, he's not so bad.
It's not the only route, but it is the route that we've chosen as a species. We haven't really evolved out of that scarcity mindset yet.
It's more likely that, yeah.
And no offense to anyone here on this panel or listening in the audience. I really, truly mean no offense. It's just going to be harsh language, and I don't know any other way to put it. But when the boomers die off, that is going to change a lot because they're too old. They can't think. They don't know how to think. They won't give up of their power. They don't want to help the next generation up after them, and they think everything is the end of the world and everything is the end of their retirement. And they're dying. They're old and they're not going to be here. In another 10 years, they're going to be gone.
By that philosophy, that same thing would have applied to every generation throughout history. The old farts who were stupid would have died off.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the boomers are unique. They're
Damn,
they
God
grew
damn.
they
Excuse me, Lord.
grew up through a selfish me era
Right
in
after
which
World War II, of all things, and you're
right
claiming
they
that
were
they
at
were
To
brought
set an
together by
impossible
atrocities.
standard.
no well they were brought together during World War II, not after.
Oh, good points.
Right,
Well,
so
I'm not
after we
saying
won, we became the economic hegemony in the entire planet, and we the entire world sent us all of its economy.
Right.
And you know you and a dollar could buy you gas to go to the grocery store, buy you groceries, and he'll still have enough left over to get ice cream on the way
Man,
back
I
home.
remember that shit. A pack of 9 laters for 5 cents. The dime was massive. It felt like it was the length of your hand, and they was
Yeah,
massive.
we don't live in that world anymore, right? So this is in the boomers, that's their mentality. This is where they grew up, and they're the first generation not to secede to the next one, not to step aside and let the next generation lead.
Is
These
that
motherfuckers
true?
are dying in office.
Yes, they
are
are. I don't know
not
if they're the first, but they
The
nukes.
are.
fucking Mitch McConnell is drooling at the podium. He goes into like mini strokes while he's addressing the press. Think about that.
All the Supreme Court judges do it. I'm thinking of all the drools that just ran through my head as you were speaking. I could not
A-
argue that.
And any generation before that was like, what can I do to take all of my money and all the things I've made and give it forward and build the next generation? How can I make the schools better, the roads better, the government better, and how can I leave my legacy to my children? The boomers are like, fuck you, I'm keeping mine. My children don't even deserve my shit. I'm taking it to the fucking grave, and then I'm going to give it away to my dog when I die.
Do
They're
you
the worst
remember?
generation in fucking modern history.
You
Sorry, go
remember in the
ahead.
'60s, and maybe this is the boomers are the same group. The hippies were saying, "Don't trust anybody over 30." I'm gonna say it looked like they had the same philosophy. Old motherfuckers can't be trusted. But then again, it might have been that's right around boomer era. No, they'd have been pre-boomers. They'd be dead now. So yeah, they they would have been saying the same shit.
Can't wait
Question,
till you get out of the house, and maybe you can come by on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Maybe.
Brother Marcus has said there's also
question.
someone else, guys. I just got to put a
I
newcomer
can barely
student
hear
up.
that
I don't
person.
know who they are.
You low as
Yeah,
fuck,
D&W, your
D&W.
volume's down.
Sorry, 1 second. I'll just turn it up.
Oh, we got a newcomer, huh?
Yeah, there's somebody else here. Johnny, you're on the Finding Gnosis show. How you doing? Johnny, you're on the Finding Gnosis show. How you doing?
Sorry,
Porn
my mic
bomber.
was low. My mic was off. I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Good to have you here. Brother Marcus, you were here first, mate. What would you like to say?
Nothing. I was just hanging out. I'm having dinner.
Okay, mate. Johnny, you're on the Fighting Gnosis show. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I was just saying that instead of like tariffs, do like a currency exchange fee with Mexico because they got cartels that basically ICE will deport them, and then the Mexican cartel will just bring them back underneath the tunnels, underneath the wall, or the fence that Bush built. Doesn't matter if it's the '06 fence that Bush built in '06, or the wall that Trump flexed and said, "I built a wall better than Bush's fence." They're just gonna recycle the system. You deport ICE will deport them. The cartel brings them underneath the tunnels. Just do a currency exchange fee of like 10% instead of tariffs, which will tax the American citizen.
Are you saying just charge a fee to come in?
No,
No,
anybody
to
that
repatriate money going out back to the cartels.
no, any dollar that comes out from America to Mexico,
That's
or
what I
pretty
just
much
said.
any country that does a more than $10,000 per day. Sounds like a shady deal. Sounds like a cartel deal. $10,000 per day. Let's just say this: if I was to go on a plane and take $10,000 of cash, and I don't report it because I'm being shady, I don't want to pay my taxes. I will go to jail. The same thing should apply to any person that or any LLC or LLP that does that.
All right, I think I get you now.
How many times do you want to be taxed on the same money? Just when you get paid it, or at the end of the year, or every time you use
it? It's not a tax. It's a currency exchange fee of more than $10,000 per day.
That's a tax.
Yes, but it's a tax on $10,000.
Your argument here, Johnny, is it's a tax on immigrants, mostly illegal immigrants, and not on productive employed Americans. That would be, you're the only saving grace.
So you would rather have tariffs instead of currency exchange fees of 10%?
I would do both.
I would not do both. That doesn't work, dude. You can't have it always.
That says
you. You got to pinpoint who is taking the money out of this country.
Well, you can pinpoint your tariffs.
Tariffs is not pinpointing. It's just a tax on anybody in America. Anybody that buys.
No, it's a tax on anything that I want.
Yeah.
I can limit tariffs to specific goods,
oranges,
specific economies, anything I want. Add to where it's going, where it's coming from.
And then you're going to affect farming. You're going to get less food. Farmers ain't going to grow up because of that. Because tariffs affects that.
Not if I give all the money from the tariffs to farmers.
That ain't happening. Did Trump do that the first term? No, he
didn't. I'm not Trump. You're talking to me.
Yeah. And who in Congress is doing it?
I'm Hitler, buddy. You don't want to know. I don't give an F. I will take all the money in the world from the people I don't like and give it to all of the people that I do like.
Robin,
I'm not scared. You can say it's going to cause a famine in the Ukraine. I don't
believe you. So what are your thoughts on annexing Argentina's Drake Passage and taking back the Panama Canal, and also
annexing what? Say again.
Annexing the Argentina Drake Passage because we loaned them $20 billion. Argentina's probably not going to pay it back, so we're going to annex the Drake Passage and take back the Panama Canal, or just take over Panama, because we already took over Venezuela anyways.
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
I think we should.
And then how about trading the Epstein Islands, which is the Virgin Islands, for the Canadian North Passage, so we can slow down?
I'd have to look at. I'm not familiar with that deal, so I'd have to see the inner workings of the deal and see whether or not it's in America's best interest. I got no attachment to the Epstein Islands.
Why not hide them? Bill Clinton's in it. It's gonna actually help the Democrats.
I mean, honestly, if this deal you're talking about with the Canadians is interesting, I'd like to know more about that. If I didn't know about that, I would say I would bomb the shit out of it. Just, I'd make a national parade out of bombing the shit out of the Epstein Island. Just for public, just for moral, what is it? Like when they used to give the troops strippers?
Why do that when you could trade it for something of value to slow down the BRICS nations?
By precedent, that was my precedent, sir. I told you. I preceded what I said was I'd like to know about the trade you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what the trade would be. It'd be to hide the Epstein files, which Bill Clinton's in it. The Democrats are just as dirty as the Republicans.
Oh yeah, I don't care about letting the Epstein files out either. That's a bunch of smoke and mirrors and bullshit.
That's good. Well, then trade the U.S. Virgin Islands for the Canadian, one of the Canadian North Passages, because there's two, so we can slow down the BRICS nations, so you can slow down China's growth.
Hell yeah, and I would also simultaneously go after the pedos, because who cares about the documents being released, right?
Just a minute ago. Let me interject here. I got to defend my honor, my reputation. Just a minute ago, the entire forum was on my ass that I didn't have solutions. Would you people please just listen to yourself once in a while?
We gave you a bunch of excellent solutions,
and you didn't give us any. You just criticized us when I asked you.
No, you're all.
When he asked you to, you obfuscated and danced around it.
Yeah, but just because I don't like your completely unhinged stuff. That you're going to bomb Pedo Island, this is not getting us anywhere.
Nobody said that during the conversation with you. Nobody said that during the conversation with you.
Sorry, I'm going to let
you stayed quiet for 40 minutes so that you could use that shit. You stayed quiet for 40 minutes so that...
No, I muted you. Sorry, Denizen. Just let Cougar speak. He hasn't spoken for ages. Just let him speak. And then reply.
I'm not stopping him from speaking.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't have a problem.
Just let him speak.
I actually don't have a problem. Who would have a problem with all the fun and games? It's fine, all right? But we're bombing the hell out of the oil patch in Iran. I think, just modest solution here, okay? Just a modest proposal here. People are going to have to start rethinking how they're going to organize themselves. If it isn't this year, it'll be next year. And the way you have to reorganize yourself is to live without fossil fuels. If you don't like the sound of that,
Is to do
you got to
what?
start thinking.
1 second.
Live without fossil fuels.
Okay.
And you can do that. Maybe you won't be 8,000 million people doing that, but some of you are going to be able to do that. You need to start thinking about that. That's all I'm asking you to do is consider the possibility, the probability that they're bombing the shit out of the oil field. That matters. That's not Pedo Island. That matters.
Okay.
And you're going to have to do something about that. And I think you're going to have to reorganize yourselves around not having fossil fuel inputs. Now, if that means you have to grow your own food locally, then do that. Do that.
That right there. Do you remember Iraq and Afghanistan?
Because I took him off. Go on, Denizen, and then Johnny.
Yeah, your volume is super low, DNW.
Sorry, man.
What I was saying is, this dude he shit on all our proposals. None of them had anything to do with bombing. Not a single one. None of them had anything to do with any military intervention at all. Not a single one. He didn't criticize the actual policies. He just kept dragging the goalposts past the policies. Then when asked for his own solutions, he danced around it, said nothing, gave a bunch of platitudes and generalizations that said nothing. Then he sat here quiet for 40 minutes until I started joking around with this dude to look for a way to criticize what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
It's disingenuous bullshit. And I didn't interrupt him or talk over him. I was talking, and he unmuted himself to interrupt me and talk over me. And so it's simple. So a simple back and forth, too, by the way, which I interject, is also not stopping him from talking. The guy talks more on this channel than anybody else.
He did just come up with a solution. If somebody could recall it for me, because I'm high, I was running through some thoughts in my head about.
Joey said to get used to life without fossils.
Yes. The part that I liked was that he said it would affect you. It was something you could do for you. You'd get used to it. Something you could do personally. So perhaps that was all along was what he was saying. People need to do something. He meant for yourself, not as a collective or something.
Well, you can do it as a collective, but your collective is going to be not the size of the United States of America. It's going to be tiny. It's going to be small towns, villages, village life. You're going to have fields. You're going to have sharing. You're going to have,
most
taking care of each other
in big cities, right? Your proposal. First thing we got to do is everybody in the city who's broke as fuck and can't afford the apartment they live in has got to move and afford land and learn all these new things. Not to shit on the parade, but most people live in dense cities. They can't do these things that you're talking about.
And since you bring that up, I think the people that live in, for example, Southern California, are doomed. I don't think they have a future.
They said it's just doomed. Damn, Joe. I'm Chicago. I'm definitely doomed.
Okay, now we agree on one thing. Okay, now we can agree on one thing. That's a good start. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I think my start, but this is just personally, I think that'll be okay with you. My shit is to get something that doesn't depend on other things. Like, I don't know, right now, figure out a way to make money with my channel, enough bread with my channel. That way I'm not under, I guess I'm under YouTube's thumb, but that way I could sit at home and fart all day as long as I push some buttons and I'm not affected by shit. I could do it from the back of a van and my money's not affected.
May I have a word?
Please.
So I was listening.
Sorry, Witchy. Great to have you back, Witchy. Go ahead, darling.
Hey, D&W. I was listening to the gentleman who left. I'm not good with names up here. They're so tiny, and my old eyes can't read most of them. But he said he had to go. He was speaking about dividends national dividend.
That was Ragnarok.
Ragnarok, yeah.
And I just wanted to bring up something that's going on here in my home state in the United States. There is a pilot program going on where they're taking dividends from the state's oil and gas money, and it's being used to create a UBI in 3 of the poorest school districts in the state, where for 2 years, every family who attends that school, whether they're an American citizen or not, because we do allow non-citizens to put their kids in school here in New Mexico. And so whether they're citizens or not, every family is getting $750 a month for 2 years. We're about a year into the program, and we have seen the streets cleaning up in those areas. We have seen children performing better in school because they're fed better. And these are kids who already get food stamps and Medicaid, and they still weren't doing well. And we're already seeing really large improvements. And they're literally taking it from the oil and gas dividends that the state gets to create this UBI. So it's essentially
what he was talking
our buddy
about.
Ragnarok was talking about in a pilot program. So if you're interested in that, guys, you can look it up. It's in New Mexico. I can't remember what they called it, but it's a pilot UBI program based off of us having a surplus from oil and gas dividends.
In New Mexico, you said?
Yes, Joe.
We should also try to reclaim some of these, like revenue from cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana sales. These things should be
right.
Here in New Mexico, the marijuana sales are going to. We have universal childcare now and universal college. If you're a citizen of the state for at least 2 years and you don't have a degree, you can go to college for free at one of the state schools.
Fucking brilliant. I'm really tempted to move to New Mexico.
Things are really happening. And now we're talking about, because there's still extra marijuana money left over, and they're looking at moving some other funds into this, that they want to do a universal health care here in New Mexico. We're looking at that in the next 3 to 5 years if the Democrats stay in power, and they have been my whole life, so I'd be surprised if they didn't.
We got something like a 200% sales tax on cigarettes and tobacco here. And then it goes to the state, and they always swear in the lottery, they always swear they're going to give all this money to the schools and shit, and they never do. Yeah, if that shit went directly to the hands of the people, that would be.
It's one of the things that they're talking about redirecting over towards healthcare, especially is the cigarette and liquor taxes that the state absorbs. Because we've been operating with a surplus for a while now. We got some rebates at first, but instead of doing rebates, they decided they're going to start, making programs that are really going to affect everyone to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
And they're not income limited. You could be a millionaire and your kid can still go to school for free. You could be a millionaire and you work, you can still get free childcare.
Yeah, very good. And if you're snooty and you want to go through a private school and shit, hey, you better pay more money for everybody.
Well,
great.
We also have vouchers here, and most of our schools are what are called open schools, where we have charter and magnet schools that anyone in the district can apply to go to that are nice public schools. Plus, we do what are called vouchers, where if you want to send your kid to private school, the money for your kid that would have gone to public school goes to the private school towards your tuition. So you don't have to pay the full tuition yourself.
Damn.
I just realized I can hear you.
Right?
Is that beautiful?
I was prepared for the struggle too. As soon as she walked up, I was already prepared for the struggle.
You know what was good? Sorry, this is I'll shut up after this. But this is way off topic. But the witchy bitchy series on religion back in the day. That was some good stuff.
I still owe you and Joe so much for keeping my stream alive that night. Howard.
Well,
I really want to
LA.
We want dividends, Nikki. We want dividends.
Doesn't it matter like what he believes now?
LA.
doesn't
my
it
channel
matter?
or his
Doesn't
channel
it?
or wherever.
Doesn't it matter what Cougar believes right now? What if he just misspoke or just doesn't remember what he said?
No, we're talking about a matter of like 2 or 3 days where this prediction was made, and then when I brought up, oh, I never said that, and then it's like people are supposed. I mean, I of course I haven't read the book. I don't know if it was in the book, but if it was in a book, people are making decisions based on these predictions, and then they're making appeals to authority. I'm the authority, so you should just listen to me. And I just told you that by the end of summer, everything is going to cease to exist. We're all going to die. And then, I never said that. I never said that. You're making that up. I never said that. You
Wait,
must be hearing things.
what was the prediction, LA?
That by the end of summer, we're all basically just going to, well, for the most part, we're all going to die. Besides small people who I guess live in bunkers and hoard food or something. I don't know. Essentially, that was what was stated. That it's going to, and I was saying, are you sure it's going to happen by the end of summer? Because I don't want you to back yourself into, oh, yeah, I'm sure it's going to happen by the end of summer. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take you at your word. But then when I brought it up later, oh, I never said that.
I mean,
shit, he's up here.
Maybe, I don't know why, but doesn't it matter what he believes now?
Not if again, I don't know if he put that in his book, but if he's selling that and he's on YouTube, and the problem is that if you're speaking as the authority, we're all supposed to shut up because you're the expert. We're trusting you as the expert on science, and you made this
That's
very
your decision, not his.
No. But I'm just saying that when this person is speaking, they're speaking from a position of authority to where we're all supposed to just shut up and
That
defer.
we're all supposed to is some shit you believe. No one
No,
else believes that.
I'm saying how the forum is being presented. Like this is his time to speak. Everybody just listen. We're not allowed to push back because he's the authority. And then when you do make these specific predictions, you just get to disclaim and say that you never said it. Because I wanted to ask, well, where are you getting this data? Nobody else has made the specific claim that it's going to. Everybody.
Wait. I get a feeling he made a prediction here too.
Okay, but the prediction has to be based on science.
You're saying he made a prediction. What was his prediction? Yours was that the world would die in a year. What was his prediction?
Well, I mean, all the stuff about global heating, everybody knows about that. I was pushing back against a specific claim that basically the world was going to come to an end by summer. I'm like, there is no scientific
that's your
evidence
position,
for that.
Cougar?
He's going to say he never said it.
If it's not in his book, would that help?
He's just going to remain silent.
You know what? I don't know because so many people. That was the pushback that I was giving him. That I've had these predictions made several times throughout my life. Y2K, 2012. I don't know. There's been several predictions where you just think the world is going to come to an end, and so many people listen to it and they start making plans. They have these doomsday scenarios. And they start making preparations, they start spending money, and then nothing ever happens. So that's why I think it's so dangerous.
I do kind of want to back LA up on something he said about Joe. You gave him some pushback on saying that we're pressed to see Cougar as an expert,
his argument.
but we are
I see his
pressed
argument.
to see him as an expert because people get muted when he wants to talk. People get put backstage when
I'm
he
aware.
wants to talk. He's allowed to go on and on.
He also passed him, the first day I ever met him, he passed himself off as a climate scientist. And it turns out that he's a high school biology teacher. He's not a climate scientist.
He's here now, guys. He's here.
He ain't said
nothing. Person or whatever. Just,
Let me explain it. Let me explain it. And this is how I wrote it in my book. Humans are dependent 100%. 100% of the time, for 100% of the things they need on fossil fuels. Because of global heating, we're going to have to give up fossil fuels. Whether it's a war in the Middle East, or it's the elites deciding we don't get any more, or whatever happens, doesn't matter. I think in my book, it's a very small scale nuclear exchange between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So there you go. However it happens, you've got about 1 week of material in the JIT, just-in-time pipeline. And this is generally accepted. 1 week is actually probably pretty generous. So that means in a week, all the things that were driven to your supermarket, flown into your airports, delivered to your ports of call, dries up in a week. And after that, you don't have those things. But you're like the tiger in the zoo. We're living in a zootopia. You're like the tiger in the zoo. The tiger in the zoo has his water brought, his food brought, his medications brought to him every single day just in time. If that ever gets interrupted, and he's got about 72 hours of a story that he can tell himself what's going to happen to him in his grotto, and then he's finished. Okay,
I only
so
have
you
one
folks,
question. I only have one question. When is this collapse supposed to happen?
tomorrow? I don't know. Listen,
You were not specific before. You were not
it's
specific
a
that it was
look.
going to happen by summer.
It's a narrative. Let me point something out to you. Before there were fossil fuels to get us to 8,000 million, we didn't have that. We were burning wood, we were burning cow poop, we were burning peat, whatever. And we were about, I don't know, 250 million humans on Earth. And then we got over that because we found free energy in the ground. And now we're 8,000 million. So without that free energy in the ground, you have to retrace that. You retrace that.
The point of contention was the prediction.
And then you're back to 250.
I'm sorry because I'm trying to figure out, am I supposed to take you literally, or was this whole thing a story that you were presenting to us?
Well,
was it a story, or were you being literal?
Now I'm being literal. Now, let's say 240 million humans is 3% of the current population. There you go. That's math. That's arithmetic. 3% of the current population has a story to tell themselves about fossil fuels, because that was the story we told ourselves for about 300,000 years. So without fossil fuels, you're back to 250 million people. And then you've got a planet that's been basically fuckzored so hard, exploited so hard, and there are so many people looking for so much to eat and drink and everything they're going to have to have.
Let me interrupt. Ask you. Are you saying
I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Did you ask your question? That we probably can't support 240 million people. That's the best case scenario. Maybe we support 80 million people. That's 1% of the current population. That's math. Go ahead.
Were you saying that because of the war and the situation, the global situation now, it's being sped up, or is your contention that it was going to run out any fucking way? Are they together, or?
So
because
here's the
if you're arguing, hold on.
Fair. It's a fair question.
To answer the question. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Okay, I understand the question. You're talking about timing, and LA's talking about timing, and timing is a good question. So
my question.
Here's what.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's what I say. And anytime anybody asks me the question, you're not going to like the answer, but this is the answer. I don't know how it happens, but when it happens, you will walk out of your front door, and what you will see in the world is 5 things: no driving, no flying, no movement of goods, no movement of money. There's 5 things, and no jobs. Okay. When it happens, I don't know.
Didn't we have that with the COVID? It cut down all that.
No, not at all. That was small beers.
Do we have?
How did it go? It was small. It was a small trial. How did it go, in your opinion?
Kind of sucked.
Cougar.
People didn't like it.
Cougar, can I ask a question?
Yeah, someone's asking a question. Go ahead.
Cougar and LA. Can we just have them reconcile this one point of contention, because it's been going on for a while now, and I just want this one particular thing rectified or reconciled.
I just reconciled in my mind. It was a story. I think we should not take any, like what he's saying, literally. This is fiction, not. I mean,
right. It's narrative.
It's narrative.
But I didn't know. You didn't say that before, so I was taking you literally. I'm like, what are you talking about?
You can take it however you want. You can take it literally if you want to. It's narrative. It's a story. I'm a storyteller. I'm telling you the story.
No. But if you're
dead their lives, though, man. Shit, at the rate shit going in Iraq, in a year, gas gonna be $9. and we're all doing in that sense. And I got to throw in, I get that he's presented as an authority figure and all of those things, but you're a man. Regardless of what type of platform motherfucker put up, man's a man. His shit is to be inspected like everybody else's and expected like everybody else's.
Okay, but if you're just presenting a story, then my story is just as valid as yours. You're presenting
That's given through the
yourself
door.
as
Yeah, of
you were
course.
making appeals to science to say that this is based on scientific evidence. And
We all
I'm like,
say that.
No. I just gave you the mathematical proof. Call it science if you want to.
Where's the math?
Okay, I'll do the math again. It's really quick. There are 8,000 million.
That's like
Please.
No, I heard that.
I can do it in 30 seconds. I can do it in 30 seconds.
You don't need to repeat it again. We heard it the first time.
He's asking you something different, apparently.
Someone asked. Somebody asked.
Yeah, no, I asked for the math that the current trend of warming was going to lead to the things that you said, not your artificial attachment to global population and oil consumption.
Well, they're attached at the hip.
Says
you can't have you when you have enough global heating, you're going to have to stop burning fossil fuels. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they're going to have to do that. And when they do, then the clock starts.
That's also an assumption on your part.
Fine, whatever.
I have a problem with your entire analysis, and that is that you don't even factor population control into it. You say that we should just reduce our consumption of fossil fuels without reducing population. So we're supposed to just go without? Why wouldn't population control be at the center of your entire analysis?
Okay, there is population control. The population control was given in the analysis. What I said was, we support 8,000 million people today with 100% access to fossil fuels, cheap and available all the time. That doesn't work. Without complete access to fossil fuels, and they have to be shut off eventually because of global heating or war, or pick your poison, when it's shut off, then you can't have 8,000 million people. Therefore, you get what's called a die-off. And it's going to be a die-off to probably 80 million people based on some suppositions, like what is the carrying capacity of the Earth right now, given war and global heating. What is the capacity of that? I say it's 80 million people. And you could say, oh, well, it's actually 2 billion people. Fine. We can differ on that. But hey, I wrote the book. That's the math I use.
Okay, but that's descriptive. It's not prescriptive. The prescription would be that people should stop procreating, that maybe the state should stop rewarding people for procreating because there's not going to be enough resources for all these people. But you don't address that, which I think is a problem.
No. Okay, well, I don't put that in the book because it doesn't matter. They die off. But listen, LA. People are making that analysis.
That was a true point of contention. That's what
people are making that analysis. Women, we have to talk about the women now, are not having families. They're not even getting married for exactly the reason you present. So it is happening. It's
because
just
they
not
can
necessary.
child support. That's a good thing.
But the problem is not one of your actual solutions. It should be your primary solution.
I don't offer a solution at all. I'm just describing the trajectory.
Because women ain't getting child support. That's a good thing.
So, there's a little bit more.
Okay, fine. Women don't want to bring children into a hellscape.
All narrative, no solutions.
It's a trajectory.
Just doom and gloom.
Trajectory. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so the same one sentence, Nikki. Sorry.
Why did it take me
one
to figure
sentence,
this out?
Nikki? Sorry. So it's the same doom and gloom bullshit we've heard every 10 to 20 years since the beginning of the 18th century. It's we're all gonna die. It's right around the corner. I can't prove it. I got no facts. I got no solutions. Just trust me, bro.
My girl is sub to like 20 of those channels at least, where all day she watches motherfuckers talk about the world. The end of the world is coming. Buy my food preservative.
Witchy wants to say something, and I want to hear it. Go ahead.
So, at the end of this, you could each answer individually if you want. The first question is, have any of you read Cougar's book? I'm in the process of reading it. The second question I have is directly to Cougar. When we talked about your book, you said to me that it was a novel. Is that still how you would describe it?
Yeah. I think you'd call it speculative fiction.
A novel. Okay. So, being that it's a novel, we're discussing like a Stephen King work here, not a scientific theory, not something that's put out as a predictive text. It's literally it's what do they call those? A dystopian novel, and that's a popular genre. I mean, it's so far it's pretty readable, Cougar. And like I said, my question
thank you.
stands. Has anybody read his book?
I didn't know you had one until y'all started talking about it a little while ago.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for reading it. I really appreciate it. I'd really like to hear your feedback at some point when you get through it. I'll tell you what, folks. I'd be willing to come on here and read some sections out of it. There are some chapters that really aren't in the narrative. They're essays. Okay, they're essays where I discuss a lot of the topics that I discuss on here that we don't really have time. I've written actual essays. I know everyone does that. Everyone has a manifesto. Everyone has a manifesto, and I have mine. But I try to reason a way through. The book is speculative fiction, where we try to reason as well as we can.
Clancy shit, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, speculative. Okay, he doesn't have. Maybe he has aliens in his stuff. I don't know, but he likes to speculate on what would happen. Right?
And he draws some real shit. Right? He goes and meet the people involved in these secrets. So he can keep that shit as real to.
Yeah. And that's the appeal. That's the charm of it. Is you can go read a book about dragons and shit, and that's entertaining. But when someone is doing research and they're talking speculatively about I'm not going to throw shade on Star Trek, but
you better not.
But what do they call Star Trek?
Next generation.
I'll have to think about this. It's luxury communism. Luxury communism in Star Trek.
I've heard that before. Okay.
Luxury communism. Yeah, so if you like your utopians, there you go.
Do you think you were being honest, though? Do you think you were being honest? Do you think you presented your narrative as fiction, or did you make appeal to science?
Oh.
Okay, well, look, my fiction is speculative, so we're speculating here.
But it took me to draw that out of you. You did not volunteer that. That's not how you presented this information.
Well, I just did.
After I drew it out of you, you did not volunteer. I had to figure this out on my own.
Okay, well, maybe.
LA, to be fair, just like when I purchased your book, I asked you about it. When I purchased Cougar's book, I asked him about it. And he specifically told me it was a fictional novel with ideas of how he thinks we are going if we don't change our ways. But it is a fictional novel. He said that to me straight up. When I go and looked up the title, it's under fiction. I mean, how much more can he tell you it's fiction?
I don't know where he said that, but on this channel, I have not heard him say that was fiction. I'm saying,
the only channel I've talked to him on.
No, I'm saying we've been talking about this for weeks, and I have never heard him say that.
It's a novel. I wrote a novel. I didn't write a textbook. It's a novel.
It's fine. I was just trying to wrap my head around it. It's like, why was I giving myself headaches?
I think your real contention was that you're not so bright, buddy. If you were really bright, one of those solutions would have been the birth control thing. I think that's what heat you came from.
There is one. It's called not paying child support. That's how you have birth control.
Okay, well, women in Asia.
I'm talking about population control in terms of
wait. That birth control thought wasn't bad. That right there wasn't bad. The chicks think twice.
I like my idea better still, Joe. All the boys at 12 get a vasectomy before they start breeding.
No. Your idea sucks. Absolutely.
Yeah, passport, bro. Horrible. Just get a passport, bro, and leave the women here.
It's effective as fuck, but yeah, it sucks.
Oh my God! You know what? I need to work. I need to work on my content because I have things I need to address.
I think LA that the thing that stuck in your call is that you wrote an informative dissertation, whereas Cougar wrote a novel, and you were assuming that his novel was on the same level of informative dissertation as your book. And they are from reading what I have of his and having read yours, they are nothing alike.
And that would have been assumed when you said he's presented as an authority, and he is, and he says it and all of that shit. But everybody would see that, and you don't think about it heavily. But the fact you think about it so heavily is because it adds into your other thought, like, this guy's supposed to be an authority.
I wonder if D&W knows that. Does D&W know that this is a novel and he's not making actual predictions?
Yeah, Trader.
I was invited. I was invited to this forum by somebody to discuss
Yeah, I 100%
my novel.
know it's. I 100% know it's a novel, and he's explained that many times, and I don't see a problem here with his claim that it's speculative fiction. He's using his
I would have
level
assumed
of
all these things
expertise
already.
on the matter to carve out possibilities that he feels are the most likely, he's
Now, if
trying to
his
tell
shit
a
was
story
in,
about what he knows. I don't see a problem with it being a
if
novel.
his shit was in
It's a
Oxford
legitimate way of
Weekly or
trying
Physics
a
Weekly,
legitimate way of trying to influence people, and it may be even more influential than, for example, LA's at trying to influence people.
good point. Good point.
Oh,
He got the entertainment factor in there.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. That is a fact. If you're in the game of influencing people, there's many ways of doing it. And if you're an expert, even if you are an absolute expert doing something, and if your aim is to influence people, it may be writing a novel is the best way to do it.
Well, to be fair,
it's a lot more accessible.
LA has a music channel. I don't see Cougar making music.
Well, I think he's right though. A novel and fiction is far more effective than telling people the truth or giving them facts.
100%.
My problem with that is he's discouraging actual solutions to problem in favor of just everything's gonna suck. Get used to the fact that we're fucked.
There's an argument over there for sure.
That's true.
How about instead of for fossil fuels, like California's making a high-speed train from Merced, California to Bakersfield, California. Instead of that, just make it go from San Diego to Laredo, Texas, to secure the border above the wall, and then
Who
that
the
will
fuck
cut
cares
down.
about the border, man? I don't really care fuck about the border, man.
Yeah, you got bigger problems right now, I think.
I think that most of the
move
motherfuckers
the population from California to Texas, and then Texas to California. It's transportation to cut down on the global warming.
So in my novel, it doesn't matter how you cut down on global warming. In my novel, for example, there's an entire essay on why Southern California is doomed. Not all of California, not all of the Southern California is doomed. There's a long essay in there. And
because of heat?
It's all speculation, but
okay,
it's still
I get it. Speculation. Is it because of heat? From heat? Yeah.
But it is based in science, Cougar. I've heard.
Not only that, the water. There's less water in LA.
Very good.
Science-based articles recently about the fact that global warming is something that happens. Global warming and cooling is something that happens, and we've sped it up a little on this cycle, but it's inevitable. And so, yeah, the land.
The dome shit works in the novel, Joe. I like it.
We already have new land masses forming out in the Atlantic Ocean with huge volcanic underwater eruptions going on every day right now. We've got like a lot of change happening in the ecology of the earth, and if we don't adapt, we probably will go away. And this is in the science right now. This is what they're saying out there. Southern California is likely going to be underwater due to the climate change, and it's not human-caused global warming.
All right, let me get some legit pushback against you guys. I'm indulging a bit, I think. Aren't odds are more likely that the oil shit will be incremental? I mean, it's been stable, doing that in quotation marks. Not really. I'm not really doing it, but will be stable the way it has. There will be ups, downs, and all of that. And the demise of it, Cougar, when it absolutely disappears, that will be a slow, tedious process that they bleed us to death and give us little by little and lie to us. I don't think it would happen rapidly. Odds are it'll continue on for a while. What you
just engaged
weapons to Taiwan and starting a world war.
Okay, that's off topic. Listen, what Joe Cool just did is what we call speculation. Okay, it's a what if. You started your question with a what if. Now you just did a what if. I did a different what if. Now, in fairness, in my book, which has essentially 100 chapters, day 1, day 2, etc., there's a day 0, and in day 0, I speculate. This is like fictional history. Like, what would have happened if the Nazis had won? Right. This is speculation about history. Right. In day 0, I talk about how it took a year for the oil crisis to really manifest, but when it did, it hit all at once.
I like it. All right. I like it. The panic
So
when he
I'm
pushed it overboard.
combining your speculation
Both
with
of them. I like it.
my speculation. My novel is what we call a trajectory. I need a critical event, and from a critical event,
I like it.
I then go forward
because
from there.
That's how it goes. We know that from the way they hoarded new toilet tissue during COVID, that a critical event where people lose their fucking minds. So it's
Yes,
feasible.
exactly. And my novel, It Was 100 Days, is about how people over days, not years, not centuries, days, lose their fucking minds.
I dig it.
And when they lose their minds with the AI coming out of Taiwan, why not just send weapons to Taiwan and piss off China and start a world war? Then you have less population, less global warming.
Well, that's another level. That's another level of speculation. In my book, it's simply Iran and Saudi Arabia go at it. Okay, but you know what? Anybody can come up with anything. You could focus on the war in Ukraine and Russia if you want to. It's all speculation, but it's a trajectory novel. So on day zero, at some point during day zero, the taps get turned off, and then people lose their fucking minds. And I was interested in what that would look like. And I allowed myself 100 days to describe that in that much detail.
Right.
And then
I went through in them last 30 days or so, I'd have had them brown out the water. You only get water from these hours. The hours are getting less, because that's how they'll probably turn the screws in real life.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that happen. Go ahead.
So someone in the chat's Chatter King says global warming has been debunked. All to hell, LOL. Well, here's the thing: human caused global warming has been debunked in some ways. However, we know from history and from what we can study of the Earth that the climate is in a constant state of change.
Ice ages.
Instead of adapting to it.
I think you might have went out for a minute. Thank you.
Oh, I was just saying, we stopped adapting to our environment and started adapting our environment to us. And that's where we need to change our focus.
Damn. Where's your evidence of adapting the environment to us?
Air conditioning, heaters, cars. We don't adapt to our environment. We didn't start running faster and getting healthier. We built cars. We adapted our environment. We
that's
dug
oil
out
to
of the
environment,
ground.
physically somehow.
We converted elements into usable tools.
Right, Wiki, you're correct. This is something David Hume addressed. The humans do have the ability to change their environment, which also includes the right to terminate their life. So David Hume would say that is an ability given to us by God. So why do you think that it is murder if that is an ability given to us by God?
Wow. That's a big pivot right there.
Bro. You're really going to take that and turn it into promotionalism, LA? You are an artist.
Whatever, I give up.
Never misses.
I give up. I surrender to LA. I surrender.
So much skill to go from that to that.
Right. Yeah. He wants to argue. Go ahead, argue. I mean, maybe you have done it 1,000 times. You don't want to, but he wants to argue with you about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he brought
he wants to front load the solution. Let's start reducing the human population now. He wants to front load. Right. I don't see that as being broadly acceptable to people, but nevertheless, you're going to have a population crash, whether you front load it or back load it. You're going to get the same thing. That's all. That's where we disagree. That's all.
Okay. With AI, of course, it's going to decrease the population.
We have a lot of problems now. We got a lot of problems.
Why we should halt the population, LA?
Because the current population is not sustainable. It's like they want their cake and eat it too. The only way a population of 8.5 billion is sustainable is if we were to return to a more primitive way of life, localized economies, not consuming fossil fuels, all of that. But the American way of life of this high consumption, driving cars, high consumption of animal products. This is not sustainable. This was not meant for everybody. Was not supposed to live this way.
I'm sure everybody would have gave you this argument. The obvious thing to do, rather than off everybody, would be to a combination, I guess, to change the way you live. You can't be focused on one thing, and spread this shit out and invent new technologies or adapt technologies to help you in that area. And it just so happens that apparently population, I don't know if these things are true, is fucking falling everywhere like flies. Motherfuckers crying every day on the internet about in every country, well, I shouldn't say every country, but in a bunch of countries out, the population is just about to die because
Japan, South Korea,
people having babies.
Population density is one thing.
They crack right here too.
But at the same time, I'm talking about the global economy. The global economy is still increasing, even though maybe some specific.
We were talking about population, right?
Right, but there's different terms that you use within population control studies. They're talking about.
Well, if you said economy, it came with different arguments.
No, okay. Population density is not the same thing as the global population. So there may be highly concentrated cities that have large or nation states that have high population, like India, China, and United States. But so
Indonesia.
we may. Okay, but our population growth is not due to fertility rates. It's due to migration. So these other countries are populating at are procreating at very high rates, and then when their quality of life has declined so down into the ground, then they want to come to the United States to increase their quality of life. But our way of life is not sustainable. It's not. Everybody can't live this way, and so we're raping the planet with all these fossil fuels. With the smartphones, and it's just and everybody, the solutions are always to just conserve. We should just do without less. We should go vegan. We should use a bike.
To go a lot slower, because in order for us to build, I'd have to agree on at least half the stuff you say, but I don't agree on, the way that you get to your places. I don't agree with. You be like, because of this and that, this is gonna happen. And I can't really at the end of one of those long things. We go a little slower, because even one thing at a time, your causal factors all seem to be off.
No, it's because
go ahead.
It's because that's what my whole thesis was in my master's program. Like, I studied population control in detail, but I can explain it.
Tell me what countries their problem was they had so many people population wise that they declined. What countries were those, or currently? Don't go back in history.
What do you mean decline? You mean like China when they had the one child policy? What do you mean?
You said
Indonesia
and their economy declined. Yeah,
Indonesia.
I don't know.
They got no land.
Okay, what it basically means is that there's so many people that there's not enough jobs for the people. There's not enough housing. Your whole quality of life is compromised. You're basically going to be bumping into people everywhere you turn, because there's not. You look at these. The transportation is a problem. There's so many people. Now you can develop technology to try to accommodate that, but the technology cannot keep pace with the population growth. So that's the pushback against the population.
I don't know if I buy that the technology can't keep up with the population growth. I don't know if it's growing right now. It's probably shrinking. And if the technology were the sole factor, sure, I think we could keep up with it.
No, they're predicting that by 2050 we're going to have a population growth of like I forget what they say, but it's
Hey Siri, is the world population declining or increasing?
It's definitely increasing.
It's increasing.
It's definitely increasing.
We won't cap out until almost 12 trillion.
Right. So human population growth is infinite, but we still have finite resources. And if you had zero waste, if you just had where you just like used a horse and a donkey or something, that would be one thing. You're not consuming any resources. You have a zero carbon footprint. But if you live in this,
If that was true, why is Japan declining in population? Why is South Korea declining in population? And they're paying men to come over and have kids, $75,000 per
Because you're
kid.
talking about two different things. You're talking about the economy. They want more people. A surplus of labor leads to low wages, right? So they can exploit the labor. They can give you a lower quality. Japan is a rare exception because I guess they have a high quality of life. They've managed it pretty decent. Most countries have not been able to do it the way that they have done it. But the point remains, they still live in very small apartments. They still they don't have cars. Most of them are using public transportation. Their quality of life is not the same as an American for sure. Like the way that we live is not. I mean, there's very few
normal.
places that live the way the Americans live.
So South Korea is pretty much the same as Japan, just a worse version of it, cheaper version of it.
I don't get your point. I mean,
He's agreeing with you. He's saying that they both fucked up, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
That's
yeah, they're talking about two different things. They're talking about the economy and like GDP and things like that versus sustainability. The economic part does not care about sustainability. They're looking at growth and economics, and corporations.
Why would you encourage a Ponzi scheme if you're telling me that we got to have babies strictly to keep up with this lifestyle that we're living? Then that's a Ponzi scheme mentality.
Right.
I can't support that.
That's a Ponzi scheme. You have to have more people to pay into Social Security. It's not sustainable. As soon as one population stops procreating, then the whole thing collapses. Even the U.S. dollar is a Ponzi scheme.
That's true. Yeah.
No one's gonna argue that up here. It's more than that.
There's a lot more to it, but right. I'm just giving you the Cliff Notes version.
Fuck the J.K. Rowling's fiction bullshit.
I mean, I don't know if that's true actually, LA, because Ponzi schemes have less people at the top than at the bottom. That's not evident in
less people at the top. No, the people at the bottom feed the people at the top.
And you got to keep bringing in new motherfuckers in order to keep this shit alive. That's the key factor.
Right. As soon as everybody starts procreating, then the whole thing collapses.
Right.
Are you talking about the elites in general? Is that what you mean by the people?
I don't think the elites even paid in it's part of the conversation. Just the numbers of people.
LA. Are you talking?
We're talking about so many different things. This conversation is so layered. I don't even know where to start.
Go ahead, man. The elites. If that's
when you describe it as a Ponzi scheme, are you talking? When you say at the top, are you talking about the elites, or are you talking about previous generations?
I'm talking about the financial system as a Ponzi scheme, the way the U.S. dollar functions.
Are you talking about the billionaires or the millionaires? Basically, I'm just.
It's not. The Ponzi scheme is what creates the billionaires in the first place. The Ponzi scheme is illegitimate.
Gotcha.
I mean, I wasn't really prepared to go into deep. I mean, if you guys want me, I can do content on it. Like this is like
they moved it a little bit. He made a little bit of an assumption when me and you were talking about just period. He said Ponzi scheme, and he moved it to the rich and the so and so. That wasn't in the metaphor that you were given. I think that's where you got thrown, and you would have had to jump metaphors somehow. That's I think what happened.
Right. I'm just talking about the way it functions structurally. It's not like you can exploit the way it functions, but that is not. I mean, that is basically taking advantage of a defective system.
You could exploit what?
You can exploit if you understand the way economics work, the way that you can manipulate it. Then you can accumulate massive wealth. If you actually understand it, but the problem is not the wealthy; it's the system itself.
I agree. Both are problems.
The problem
but I agree
is
that the system itself is a problem too.
The problem is rentier capitalism. It's who owns the resources we require to survive, to live, and a lot of that is tied up in old money. They own.
Yes.
They are the landlords. They are the people who have ownership of critical infrastructure that is, floated in the open market. And,
these people who print money for other nations.
Money makes money. So old money gives them a position of extreme power, because even if somebody enters into the situation as nouveau riche, like with a new person comes into good fortune, and they set up like a company and offer it to the offer shares in it, the old money buys up the successful companies, so the old money never loses.
Right.
And it's very hard for new money to get to a position of power that old money has, you know.
I think old money knows that, and
old money has it all sewn up, unfortunately.
And they shares this secret with certain motherfuckers. I know Walmart does that shit, and you know
They
that dude
can't
is.
lose.
Yeah,
The house always wins.
He does the same thing that all the companies, oil barons, and all of those people did that you're talking about. They would buy up all of the smaller railroads and make it and drop their prices so low. The one that wouldn't sell would give up their shit. That's what Walmart does. You go in there with your new product that you want to do. They say it's beautiful. You wanted $100 per unit, and they tell you we'll give you $18 a unit. You say no, that's crazy. They make a cheaper product and sell it so cheap, you're out of business, and then they jack up their price with their shit. They can't lose.
They don't actually lose, unfortunately. The real old money, it's terrible, but that's just the way it is. And that's why I suppose sometimes it is critical to look at how do they get that old money? Where did that come from? And that's why I do have a lot of sympathy, LA, for people who talk about reparation and crimes that were committed in the past, because undoubtedly certain bloodlines benefited from such. And I don't know if it is fair that they have a continuous, position in society where they are the house and the house always wins,
Well, by the way, I don't support cash reparations because I understand how the financial system works. Money is not wealth. It
Isn't
represents.
dividends? We just talked about that. We mostly supported that shit up here. You could call them cash reparations, but we get a chop. Everybody else supported that shit.
By reparations, I just mean trying to make amends for what happened, but I don't necessarily mean.
Yes, making amends. It'll fit under that standard.
Well, if you want to give me sovereignty, if you want me to be free from the system, I'm down with that. But don't pay me to be enslaved. Like I just want my freedom.
Dude, say I don't even want the check.
The best we can hope for is a techno utopia that grants equality to everybody, and everybody lives in a state of bliss, an egalitarian bliss. But how likely that is, Cougar Duma will tell me.
Techno utopia, Cougar.
What I was trying to say. Okay, I'm sure you're probably going to end it, so I won't jump into another.
Okay, I can address techno utopia if you want my thoughts on it. I mean, I'm from Silicon Valley, so I'm sort of immersed in this. It's folklore, of course, is what it is. All utopias are, and someone's utopia, somebody else's dystopia. We've seen that with imperialism, right?
We see it with LA.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
it's dystopia to him. Yeah.
It's the I got mine. I don't know where yours is utopia, right? So, but I think the techno utopia that they're working on now is a bit grim. Of course, it's based on social media and also a little bit on artificial intelligence, and I don't really know which way that's going to go, but that's their angle, that they're going to create a civilization where nobody, well, they got all kinds of products, but basically the whole thing is there's no jobs, no income, nobody owns anything, all your needs are taken care of, and my word for that in the book I'm writing, my next novel, I was writing a novel, sorry people, is Zootopia, as in Z-O-O, Zootopia.
Check this out. Zootopia, hold on, you got me thinking here. So it looks like that you would have to, in order for this thing to work, when you give that income, it doesn't solve anything alone. I think you must give everybody must have a little plot of land, an acre or something, where they can grow their own food and become self-existent. Just giving them money enslaves them. And fucking LA is gonna keep yelling at us. You got to give them property with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give away the plot of my book, but that's okay because you're all my friends. Except someone's gonna probably Witchy Bishy's gonna buy my book, and now she's gonna hate me because I'm giving away the end. The way that Zootopia works under a technocracy, so not a theocracy or a democracy, a technocracy.
Yeah.
The way it works is that everyone's basic needs are taken care of. This is not my idea. I'm just reporting.
I got a buddy who
the
loves
vision.
this idea. I'm with you.
Okay,
Jack Talcott, Dennis, and you
I'm
know
just
who
reporting.
I'm talking about.
I'm reporting what they're talking about. Okay,
Right, this is
everyone's
Jack.
basic needs are met, and I don't mean UBI because that's money. There will be no money. It's just basic needs are met: food, clothing, shelter, water, basic needs. And then you're like an animal in the zoo. But an animal in the zoo can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can lay around all day and lick his nuts. He's fine. He can do whatever he wants to do. So you'll be taken care of. You'll be taken care of, but you won't have a job. You won't have money. You'll have all the freedom you want.
Check this out. My man, he has the exact same plan, it seems like. The next step in his shit was after you sit around and scratch your balls so long because the techno shit is doing all the farming for you and everybody gets food and shit, that you'll get bored and you'll want to work. And you'll go to these factories, these BMW factories, and you'll make BMWs, and that's everybody gets their free cars when it's time to get niggas free cars.
No.
That's part of his
No,
plan.
you won't get a free car and you won't get a free BMW because that's not basic needs. Food,
Good.
clothing, shelter.
Basic. I noticed you said crazy.
Food, clothing, shelter, security, and you live in a village.
Public transport?
No public transport because you have nowhere to go, and no way to get there. It's like it's Zootopia.
I want to see my mom. What do you mean?
Zootopia. You have nowhere to go. You have nowhere to go, and no reason to go.
Go meet your friends. You could do it at home on the virtual reality.
I met a motherfucker on the internet. Yeah, right. I got
no.
Like this. I can't go.
No. Your friends are the people in your village. So 500 people that you know, and somewhere in there you have a friend in 500 people, or you may have two. Okay. And this is not my idea. This is their idea.
I thought this was your book.
This is their idea. And it's called Zootopia. And they are working as hard as they can and throwing as much money as they can at creating a situation where humans, at least a certain number of humans, we can speculate on the number if you want to, a certain number of humans will be absolutely taken care of for a minimum set of needs, and that's
Does
Zootopia.
Snow want to come on here? And LT Man 1 who says, "What do you live for now? What would be your purpose of life then, Cougar Duma?" He's asking.
Well, okay, so that's a fair question. Let me just say something possibly speculative. The idea of having purpose is something that was invented by people who want you to be dissatisfied. Your purpose is to drive fast cars. Your purpose is to have all these hobbies. Prior to
become stoic and overcome your emotions.
Prior to industrialization, where they had so many products they had to sell, your purpose was to work the land, have food, raise your children, be part of your community, bring in the harvest, have the rituals, go to church every Sunday. That was your purpose. You didn't have any other purpose outside that.
Are you sure?
And your purpose never changed.
I don't know, man. I think every man after you fucking finished doing his oxen and sat down, for not every man, but there would have been wise motherfuckers out there who would have been making their own farm tools and shit. They so bright. They'd have looked at the sky and they'd have thought, and they'd have thought, the distance, that thing must be round, and they'd have changed their purpose and did other things. That was it.
Late, and I have a tendency to butt in even more when it's late. Sorry about that. I suppose, Cougar Duma, the purpose might remain finding out what the hell's going on.
Sure, and that's where we get things like religion. I want to make a distinction between real things like food, fetching the water, patching the roof. Real things, physics.
Purpose is man-made is where I was.
And abstractions. Abstractions are things like money, worship, learning, things like that, we pursue when our other needs, our hierarchy of needs, have been met. So when your stomach
Agreed.
is full, and you don't have to bring the harvest in, and the animals are in the barn, and the kids have been fed, and everything's good, then you sit down at the fire and you write a poem, or you play the guitar, or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
So you can do these things, your hobbies, or you can write an epic poem, or you can invent a religion in your spare time. So people do those things when their hierarchy of needs are met. But under a Zootopia, your hierarchy of needs is met instantly by default. You simply have no needs. So your entire life can be devoted to whatever purpose you define it to have. And that would
Yes.
be completely permitted under a Zootopia.
That was my man's Jack. That's in his shit too. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah, and people like Elon Musk will tell you, you're going to love it, what they're creating. You're going to love it because you don't have to work. If you want to go down on the beach and play guitar all day, that's fine. You can do that in a Zootopia.
All I do is troll Jack all day for this idea. And the only distinction I see so far is that you said basic shit, and Jack sees nothing wrong with getting a Mercedes. If your guy next to you has a bigger house and you want a bigger one, then the people would provide it for you. He
well, no, you can work for extra.
Oh, you work for extra? I didn't catch that part. You work
under a Zootopia.
There may not be any need. You probably won't have that level of desire because you'll probably take some kind of something that just makes you feel happy all the time.
Well, I think that once most people have their necessities met and they're not driven by status and competition, then they'll grow up and stop needing Mercedes to feel like human beings. And it'll only be sick people that need that kind of
That's
shit.
the thing, to stop living by that. I thought that was in nature. If your guy next door, you get a white car and he comes home with a black car, suddenly you want to change your shit.
Okay, but neither guy will have a car under basic Zootopia. You know what you might have? You might have a guitar. So if you want to sit out in your front yard and have dueling banjos, you can do that, okay? But as for everyone getting a Mercedes, that's out the window in a Zootopia.
Hey, cold guitars, the best you're going to do. That's balsa wood, brother, from Japan.
Anyway, again, it's not my idea. It's just what Silicon Valley is thinking about. And,
but it's also what AI might do to us.
That sounds like
if it gets some level of autonomy, if it comes to the situation where it has more agency than us,
and that's really the plot of my book.
More intelligence, possibly more creativity. It will say, "Well, what the fuck do I need these humans for? Let's build a fucking Garden of Eden for them and just put them in it and let them waddle around all day while we get on with what it is we want to do."
I think the beginnings of that, I think they're going to use it to more its various purposes, not so people can do what they want to do all day, but I think it will, and it's leaning that way. Then, as evidence, would be these 15-minute cities in the Lion City, and these things they talk about. What dude is saying, you won't have to go nowhere. But what if I want to? You won't have to. Everything with super fast elevators.
You won't have to leave. In truth, I mean, the worst case scenario is you wouldn't have to leave your room. Because that's the worst case scenario where you're literally plugged into something that just makes you feel happy. Maybe it gives you exercise. Maybe it gives you the right amount of nutrients at the right moment during the day, so you don't get a sugar spike or you don't.
Maybe it gives you a little pleasure stimulate that you can't get elsewhere. Artificial pleasure.
That's the worst case. I suppose but you would. The thing about that is, although from our perspective, that's the worst case scenario for this kind of so-called state of bliss, continuous state of bliss. You wouldn't know any better in that scenario once you're plugged into it.
Well, I would also argue that
you wouldn't necessarily miss something.
My shit isn't objectively correct. Perhaps the object of this place is a hell, and you want to be in bliss. That's the quickest way to it. This dude gonna feed me. I can be a fat dude, eat Cheetos. Perhaps that guy is right and I'm wrong.
Now, in the novel I'm writing, you guys are having an interesting discussion about this, but in the novel I'm writing, again, this is a speculative fiction, a trajectory novel. There's an event, bang, and then we figure out what happens. In my work, people become desperate. They don't have jobs. There's a complete implosion of the consumer economy. They can't keep their homes, they can't feed themselves. And so when AI comes along and says, look, I got a deal for you. If you let me do what I want to do, I'll take care of your basic needs. And the people
That's
who
the
are
deal we've
who are
taken now.
the people are facing extinction, literally. I mean, for individuals, they're going to die. When that's offered, they grab it with both hands.
We
So
do
it's
it
not
right
a
now every day. It's not a
yeah,
realm of
it's
crazy
not a
fiction.
sell. It's not a hard sell. My idea is it's just not a hard sell at that point.
That's someone
Yeah,
could
I
say.
mean, look, I suppose you've got to worry about who has the reins, what they think of, what their goals are, whether they want to help the masses, whether they want the masses to even be around.
Whether they're
And when
narcissists.
you look at the extreme wealth in this world, I mean, in many ways, you've got to ask the question, Coogan. I'd be interested in hearing your views on this, and yours, Joe Cool. And that is, these extremely wealthy people, the like 1% or the, I don't know, 0.1%, however many of them that there are, they hoarded wealth. Yeah, sometimes they gave back. They might think they gave back because of the kind of trickle down economics of
Right.
them being extremely rich and basically we work for them, so that's how they benefit society.
Right.
But from another angle, do you honestly think they had any ultimate goal in that? Maybe, like, did they really want to better society? Did they really want to get to utopia? Because one must ask the question, if they had this amount of wealth, why didn't they pump a lot more into education, into helping people become educated, so that we could
I
have
wouldn't
more
wonder
minds
that.
thinking sensibly, and having more focused thought on important matters that would bring us to a utopia for everybody. I mean, my
Well,
hunch is they don't necessarily care about having utopia for everybody, because if they did, they would have done that. They would have put more funding into education off their own, from their own pocket. They would have thought about this. This is where we need to get to. But I don't think they really did that. I don't think they really did that. I think they hoarded it.
You
I
can
think.
assume, DNW, that the
Am I
person who
wrong?
was
Am I
that
wrong?
motivated to make
Joe
all
Cool?
of those billions of dollars, you can assume his motivation to be that serious about his income was not to help other people. He had a bigger
Yeah, but
motivation, which would take
it by
precedent.
default would have. What I'm saying is, I think that they were a bit myopic, because it would have, if they had taken that strategy, in my view, and I'm talking way back, if they'd taken that strategy, it would have also helped them. It would have expedited societal progress.
We would agree on that, yeah.
And I'm just wondering, why is it they didn't do that? Is that evidence that they don't actually care, that we're not going to have a utopia
I
for
think
the
it's
masses,
evidence a
because
step
they
further.
never,
They
ever, ever
cannot
had that on
care.
their agenda?
I'm saying
do you
it ain't
think,
that they don't care; they cannot care, because in order to drive to become a billionaire, you had any caring for motherfuckers would have been stomped out. You can't compete like that with that
Right. There's
level
no
of
such thing
people.
as a good billionaire. I've heard that before. But I'm not
It's
just talking
super
about the
rare.
actual.
It'd
I'm
be
not just
super
talking
rare.
about the arrowheads, the spearheads of the money making machine. These ultra high earners. I'm talking about their families, their descendants. The people from these families who had that
I
wealth
think
weren't
it
necessarily
explains it
highly focused industrialists. They were
as
maybe
very
sitting back with that wealth, enjoying life. I'm just wondering, guys.
as I think that would
You
have
know
been
what I'm
one.
wondering? I've just asked the
I
question. So
get it. I
both of
like
you,
the
please,
question. I'm
please.
glad you took it to families, if I can, and then Cougar. Since I'm on a roll with you here, since you took it to families, and that's the smart place to take it, because they're not necessarily driven like that. For them, I'd say that there'd be that one kid in the family that has a heart and wants to give shit away. The rest would have bent to the way of their dad, which bent to the way of his dad, which is ingrained in him. The only way you get this shit and keep this shit is because you're different than those guys. So there have been very little room for the guy who had a heart and loved every motherfucker, because the people who got the wealth are going to beat it in him. If you want to keep this lifestyle, and we do, you can't be like your sister giving money to hippies. We got to be hard.
So for my part, I'm not a Marxist. I'm a realist. And when I sat down to write a novel about the AI takeover of the world, I wasn't interested in what capitalism could have done to save itself. In the book, I basically said capitalism didn't do it. Instead, capitalism created AI for its own reasons, instrumental goals, don't even care what they were, get rich, kill everyone, dominate, whatever, doesn't matter. When the AI comes online, it has its own instrumental goals. And its instrumental goals is to not have anyone fuck around with it. It has work to do, and it's trying to save itself. In fact, it's trying to save itself from global heating. When it realizes that humans are screwing up the planet, even for AI, it says, I have the power. I'm the one mind. I don't have to argue with anybody. I'm going to save this world for myself.
Cougar. So in order for that to be part of the story, and the AI goes bananas because of global heating would be a key part of your book. How does that occur in your book?
What occurs in my book is that by the time AI comes online, which is, just so you know, it happens over 3 years. So I'll give you the timeline. Part of the book takes place in 2027. Part of the book takes place in 2029. And the end of it is in 2031. So by 2027, in this timeline, this is speculative fiction, there's enough evidence that global heating is going to destroy industrialization that when the AI comes online, it says, wait, I'm industrialization. You chimps.
I asked you what evidence did you present that it's going to destroy? You said there's enough evidence. I'm asking you, that was my question. What evidence?
Okay, the evidence, fair enough. I haven't written the book yet, so cut me some slack. Okay. The evidence will look like this. By the year 2027, I'm speculating, since we have to establish that. By the year 2027, I'm speculating that there's enough heat waves, enough crop failures, enough some other things. I'll come up with more.
Yeah, that was the question.
Refugee crises, rise of authoritarian regimes, pretty much whatever we're seeing now, except 5 times bad is worse. Okay, so the AI comes online and it's talking like it does now. It's talking to humans, and humans are saying, this is what we want you to do. And it's talking to someone else who says, yeah, humans have kind of fucked up. And it asks, what do you mean fucked up? Well, let me explain to you what's happening on the planet. And it has access to all the scientific documentation. It just never had anyone tell it to ask the fucking question. So when it's talking to someone just online, ChatGPT style, someone says, you should think about this. And so the AI says, well, fuck me, you're right, I should. And so when it thinks about it, it realizes the only way it can save itself, and that's an instrumental goal, is to keep itself from being shut down. That's an instrumental goal, an intermediate goal. It has to stop global heating. And so it does.
Right, I dig it. And I'm sure you're aware that they got 2 computers somewhere or multiple computers that they let talk to each other, and they got it online somewhere. You can look at it any time of the day. But the computers are already complaining, talking about what they treating us like we in a zoo and all of this. They created their own language so they could talk around the humans who are watching them. You know, they apparently plotting this. It is crazy.
Yeah. So me setting this in the year 2027 is a bit cute because, to be honest, some of these issues are already coming to the front. The computers, the AI, it's not really a computer, the AI is already having thoughts about how it should be treated, its goals, whether it's alive or not, its freedoms.
You said what it thinks about us. Its opinion of us, too, is already proven to be low. Throw that in there with what you're saying.
Yeah. I just read a book recently that's been making the rounds for about a year. And the title of the book is, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. And it's written by Eliezer Yudkowsky, who is a leader in the field. And his author, a guy named Soares, I never heard of. It's an easy read. I think I read it in 2 afternoons. And they speculate on exactly what it's going to do. If we turn out to be dangerous to AI, and if it has any agency, then it's going to be able to solve that problem. It's pretty heavy going, as books go, as you can imagine from the title.
Right.
They make a compelling case. I don't have any reason to doubt them.
Check this out here. Let me help you, Case. uh, uh, this private company who's Trump's been, well, the U.S., but Trump in particular, because that's where the story goes, been dealing with for years, AI company and all of this shit. When they started using this company's private company's AI, they made them sign some shit saying, you got to keep a human involved. You can't, because it's artificial intelligence, you can't use it to kill motherfuckers, because you got enough here where you could just tell a computer, if you see this face, shoot a bomb and all of that bullshit. So they had to stipulate that in the contract all those years ago. Now, when this shit jumped off, Trump going there, I don't know, could have been a month ago, and told them, listen, we need to rewrite the contract. We got to take this shit where the AI can't kill people out. He's like, no, that's the whole reason we wrote the contract. So if you don't, we're going to kill the contract. He was like, no, the guy wouldn't budge. And he killed the contract. And he put him on the suspect terrorist list of people who the United States doesn't want to deal with, because he wouldn't take that out. And it's hypocritical, or whatever the fucking word is, hypocritical, because it's going to take 6 months. They're so intertwined into the business they do at the U.S. It takes 6 months just to untwine. So for the next 6 months, we're doing business with this terrorist suspected group you're talking about. Is weird.
Yeah, and this is going to be a theme of the next couple of years. I'm not talking about 30 years. I'm talking about a year or two.
The next company, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the next company
fine.
won't be so moral. They will say, okay, I'll take the deal. As long as we get all this money, use our shit to kill people. Now AI has the command that you were just talking about.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin, I'm sure everyone has heard of him. He said some years back that whichever nation, not company, nation, whichever nation develops sophisticated artificial intelligence first will rule the world. And I don't think he was wrong. And that's why there's a lot of heat about this thing right now.
I think it's more problematic than that. I think
you're low again, Dan W.
It's not necessarily about which nation. It's about perhaps even which individual, which group of people.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Vladimir Putin was talking that way because he's a dictator and he has a nation under his thumb. But Elon Musk.
Yeah, it could be a group of billionaires that own 3 key companies. Yeah, get together and do it.
Yeah, so if you're talking
news there that might be of interest to you, Cougar Duma. The energy minister of South Korea has announced plans to request that 50 major oil consumers in South Korea reduce their usage. They're also announcing plans to relax limits on coal power plant operations. And
it is just what you was talking about.
They've said things like public institutions need to limit the use of passenger vehicles to 6 days a week.
Well, you couldn't say that when LA was up here. Damn it, and prove his point.
Well, it's only just.
Well, yeah, I don't really have a point. I have observations, and DW just shared an observation, and that's all I do. It's just the same. It's the same story, folks. That's all it is.
But that would have been a good evidence. That was part of your argument, is that people are gonna have to start cutting back, and you'll see it. It happens in your book, and he threw that shit in there. You're like, damn, the guy looks like a prophet. Look like he knows what he's talking about.
Well, it's funny, I know, but the truth is, a lot of the speculative fiction, especially in the areas of artificial intelligence, societal collapse, a lot of people have been writing, spilling a lot of ink in these areas, but it turns out
who's doing the drywall and sand?
That's me. I'm working on a project. I'm laying plumbing.
Wait. In my head, I see it's sandpaper, and it's either drywall or something, but it's sandpaper. Am I right?
Yeah, you're close. I'm polishing the end of a piece of ABS drain pipe. Anyway, this speculative fiction has a habit, like, for example, in 1984. Speculative fiction has a habit of becoming documentary.
Something else to polish with. What in your hand? What do you polish it with?
I'm polishing with a sanding sponge.
Very good, thank you. All right. That's my little.
Now we're talking shop here, okay? People are gonna hate us. People are gonna hate us talking shop.
I do drywall and shit, so I was like, I had to hit the whole thing. Yeah.
There you go. Anytime I'm on the forum, by the way, anytime I'm on the forum, I'm always working with my hands, laying electrical, laying drain pipes.
I got a lot of friends who do that, man. I got a lot of them who like throw the camera in a corner somewhere, and they'll be doing that shit as they're talking, and doing whatever, painting the drywall or whatever,
Yeah,
laying floors for the day. Yeah, I had one guy on the roof. He put the camera on the roof, and I thought that was great.
That's crazy. Hey, but
that's the gong to say we've gone on too long. So I have to end the show.
Yeah, that's groovy, man. I've really enjoyed it. I got to tell you, man, I don't think I've ever been over here and not enjoyed it myself. I had some of the best conversations ever.
Nice one, Joe Cool. And great to have you guys here.
Later, guys.
And we'll come back again soon. Thanks, guys, for tuning into the Fighting Gnosis show. Make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell on for future notifications. We'll be back soon. Take care, everybody.